let's start the show the only way we know how. Some of you love it, some of you hate it. We do it regardless. Welcome to the Big Brother Breakdown with Joleen. Welcome to the BB Breakdown with Joleen. That's me. And Jessica Milagros right next to me. Jess, how are you?
I'm doing good. I love it. I love it when you sing that. It's like my favorite part. Not my favorite part, but I like it a lot.
Some people say it's their favorite part, and some people are like, that's awful. You should never sing again. And to those people, I say, I will sing it again.
They'll sing it because it's so catchy. Like I walk around when you're not even on live, and I'm like, welcome to the BB Breakdown with Joleen. Welcome to the BB Breakdown with Joleen. That's her.
Yes.
No,
and Jess. I'm so happy you're joining us today, Jess. Thank you to everyone joining us live as you guys filter in. I see you're filling up here. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you let us know in the chat questions, comments, concerns. We are going to be talking about BB22. I know there's not an episode tonight. They're switching it over to Mondays going forward for the rest of the season. So we're just going to be talking about spoilers and things going on the live feed. So make sure you guys fill up the chat, and I'll try my best to highlight. Shout out to my mods. Let's see what else. If you want to support the channel, Super Chat is a great way. Also in the description, Patreon, Venmo, Cash App, all the fun stuff, PayPal, what all the cool kids are doing, I'm now doing. And you can follow Jess and myself as well. I put our links in the description. And also, most importantly, you can follow Jess because you do a weekly, but it's more than once a week show, Girl, Let's Agree to Disagree podcast.
I do. Yeah, it's called Girl, Let's Agree to Disagree, and it's weekly. And that was a complete failure because I feel like with this, you need to have it on more than just a week. Like, it's so hard to try to recap a full 7 days in one episode. It was just like, wow, I really didn't think about this. And yeah, but I mean, there's only 3 weeks left. Yeah, and then we'll be talking about The Bachelorette. And that'll be like the next thing, and I'm super excited for that.
That'll be great because people always ask me to cover Bachelorette, and I don't watch it, and I never really have. So you have a go-to place to watch breakdowns of The Bachelorette. What I think is so great about your show and your podcast is you have Hannah, and then you have Kemi. And so you have two people who have played this game, you and Kemi. So you have two former house guests. And then you have Hannah, who got to experience it on a different level than the rest of us fans because she had her significant other there, which a whole bunch of other stuff goes along with that we don't even know.
That's one of the reasons why we decided to do the show, is just because it's nice to have a mix of not just different, there's diversity in all rounds, right? I mean, not just race-wise, and just ethnicities. We have that covered, but we have how it's played. Like you said, Kemi and I have played, and then Hannah, was just that secondhand, observer from knowing what Ovi went through, and then also a good age range because I'm like, Hannah could be my daughter. So I know, and that sounds really weird when you think about it, but for those of you guys who don't know, because I've never really publicly stated how old I am, but I mean, I'm going to be 39 next week. So
you're a baby, Jess. I turned 40 this year. You're a babe.
Hannah's a baby. She's 22.
I think I'm her teen mom. I think I teen mommed her. I think I did. Tell her.
I teen mommed her.
We're so proud of how our baby turned out. Our baby is beautiful, and her and Ovi look like they have the best relationship. And Ovi seems fantastic. I mean, I don't know the guy, but
I love them together. They're just so extremely opposite and perfect. They make the perfect the perfect relationship. I love that.
And also, it was so great as a fan of BB21 and watching horrible Aquadouche and horrible Jerks and them question the fact that Ovi could have a hot girlfriend. And we were all out like, I can't wait till they see his hot girlfriend. I cannot wait because she is gorgeous and smart and all the good stuff. And so they had to just eat their stupid words.
I think a lot of them were, all the guys were, I hated it too. I mean, I was just mesmerized by Hannah just because she is gorgeous, you know, not because, you know, she's dating Ovi, because Ovi deserves that and, you know, then some. Like, I thought he deserved the world. He's an amazing guy. So yeah, but meeting her, it was just like, oh my gosh, oh, I love you guys even more. It was just like the best thing. But I could imagine as a viewer, as a watcher, that must have been like wonderful for the guys to see that she is like super, super hot, eat their words, like you wish you could get something like this, but you can't type.
We loved it. And then she just existed on social media and we're like, she's real, and we knew it. And then we all like stand her so hard and everyone followed her, and she had great reads on the game. And so it was really, really fun to see. So I'm so glad you guys are doing that. And I would like to just off the bat, we'll be talking about some spoilers and stuff. So if you guys don't like spoilers, log off. What do you think, like having played with two of the contestants this year, everyone knows my feelings on how they played. What did you think of Nicole A and David's game?
You know, it's like, I always try, and I actually hate talking about it because I've been in that position of not wanting to have my game judged because it's just so hard when you're in there. But in terms of what I thought, like they came in and I was really hoping for the best. You know, I was really hoping for the best. I loved both of them in different ways, and I don't agree. Let's start. Can we start with Nicole A, because I feel like she's the first one out, so I feel like it would make sense for us to talk to her about her first. Like I know that the feeling here of her coming in was to kind of do it for the fans, and you know, and she didn't want to let people down. She wanted to feel somewhat vindicated, like she wanted to like show more of what she could do, or she felt slighted in some way. I totally don't see that. You know, I thought out of everybody on our season, Nicole came out with the best everything. You know, if I was Nicole Anthony and I came in and I was, you know, America's favorite player and I was third, I'd probably be like, peace out, because you can only go down from here on an all-star season, you know.
And that's what happened. I mean, yeah, that's a really good read on what, you know, what to do and the game itself.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously I'm a big gamer, so and she is too. So I understand why she came in. However, like I know from like personal experience that I mean, even myself, I get triggered just watching the show. And even though she had it a little bit better than some of the other cast, she still really went through it, you know, and it triggered her, and she kind of went through a lot of things, especially with not trusting the people that most had her back. And it was really unfortunate to see. You're just a circumstance of the people that are around you and what you choose to believe. So I felt really, really bad for her. Her game was her game. I feel that she was the same. She is and was the same Nicole that was in the house. Like as many people as looked at her and were like, you know, talked whatever they wanted to say about Nicole. To me, that is the Nicole that I played in the house with. And although I love her, and you know, we're not the best of friends, mainly because, again, age difference, you know, we live in different places. That's who I couldn't trust in the house. And I got a lot of shit for it coming out of the house for not being Nicole Anthony's number one, you know, and why I felt a certain way about her and why I couldn't like necessarily trust somebody and pinpoint it, and I couldn't. And she plays a game where she talks to a lot of different people, and she kind of plays that middle person, and there's no true loyalty except for that maybe one person that she sticks to. In this case, it was Kevin. So bad kind of read on her, you know?
Well, and I think just looking back at your season, I can totally see why you were sketched a little bit by Nicole A. And like, I can't fully trust her because going back to that first camp counselor when she was all in to vote for you, and then it took a second and she went the Mickey way. And so I think we've all been able to watch Nicole Anthony's game now in 2 seasons, and she tends to trust men and is easily persuaded by dudes that have really bad reads or aren't our favorites, whether it be the Cliff Hogs, who he did. I wrote a tweet, and listen, Nicole Anthony and her co-host are no fans of mine because I've been very critical of their whole thing, not to bring you into that, but I have been.
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't think he's a fan of me either. He unfollowed me and everything. So I don't know what happened there, but
I think he's a butthole, and his fans like to come at me really hard, but I find him as disingenuous and a clout chaser, and I don't enjoy him. And it's like mild grooming, but there you go. That's just the Joleen take. But I think, so I tweeted like, maybe stop trusting dudes over 40 and trust other women, because it seems like even in real life and on the show, a lot of the men, like all over 40, you have Kevin over 40, you have Cliff over 40, you got the co-host 40, maybe try to listen to women within the house. And that could just be like a patriarchal thing. That could be something that she's been conditioned to do. She doesn't even realize because she's so young. But I think that's, now that we've seen, it was like everyone, you got judged after the show because everyone was just standing Nicole so hard.
Absolutely.
Because who we were left with, you guys were all in jury. So we were left with Jackson and Holly and, Christy and Tami, and we're just like, oh my gosh. And so Nicole, and really what made her so likable was her relationship with Kemi, but then to learn later for fans to learn that she didn't really keep up with Kemi or even have Kemi's back when Kemi was like, quit befriending these awful people who made my time awful, and watch these videos. And then she self-admitted that she didn't watch the videos and she continued to hang out with the problematic people. So I think, there's things that had happened, but I totally get why. And this is what I always liked about you, because I really felt, Jess, that you were just, you're a feminist at your core, and you really want women to come together. And that's something that I have wanted in Big Brother forever.
Absolutely. And obviously this season has been like horrid in that, which is why it breaks my heart to even watch,
Mm-hmm.
And like, look, I don't, and people will say it, like, they'll consider me a feminist. I don't even consider myself a feminist. It's just, there's a lot of things that go along with that word. I don't really claim to be anything other than just someone who would like to empower as many women as possible. But that also doesn't mean that there aren't women that I don't like. And,
That's the truth about feminism, is I don't have to like every woman. I have to be kind to every woman. I just have to want equality for every woman and man. I want them to be able to have these equal opportunities, but you don't got to like them. That is against, nobody's going to be able to like everybody. If you like everybody and you stand for everybody, you stand for nothing.
Yes, it's that idea. And then that was the thing with, and look, it's not that I was trying to be with all the girls. I got along with a lot of the women in my season. There were a powerhouse. It was a powerhouse of women in that house, whether people want to admit it or not. Like, there were some very strong, amazing women in my season that unfortunately got wooed. Wooed by the men on my season. I don't get it. Like, whatevs. But I had my whole idea was to have an individual relationship with these women, and knowing that they weren't going to get along with each other, even though I wanted them to, with Nicole, like, if going back to like Nicole Anthony, look, as a person, I love her dearly. I did message her outside of the house before, like I sent her, messages. And I give her space because I mean, coming out of a season like ours and then coming out of a season like this one is just really hard. And I'm not the type of person to kind of get into people's space like that. I'm not friends with people for clout, and I'm not friends, like, I'll give you your space. I'll send you a message. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. If you don't, you don't. that's just kind of like my chill. I have a very chill vibe, to be quite honest. Just like in the house where people were just like, oh, she's not really doing much. And it's like, if I don't like you, I will literally go into the room and like turn my ass right around, because I prefer to save what little patience I have for other things. And the last thing I wanted was for people to see a big like Jessica blow up, which they could have very much seen had I not essentially tried to get the F out of those rooms, you know.
We would have been here for it, Jess, but I understand that there's a whole other aspect of that that goes along with it, that you really don't want to blow up, because, you know, you don't want to be seen as that. And you and I talked before, and you were just like, as the Latina woman in the house, you feel like a lot of people who have these implicit biases, who have these stereotypes, are like expecting that to happen. So that's why any person of color who comes in this house, you know, we talk about a lot on my channel, is that people need to understand that there is, and when I say people, I'm like, you know, people that look like me need to understand that there's a whole other, you know, so many other things you're carrying on your shoulders, which we've seen again this season with Davon and Bailey and Kevin and David, that us white players, I haven't played, but you know what I mean? Like if we went into the house, we wouldn't have to worry 1 second. I could pop off here, I could pop off there, I can cry for an hour, and you know, it's not going to be attributed to my race. It's not going to be attributed to that's how they all are. It's not, I'm not going to hear that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think where people don't realize, and I've had some conversations, even with some survivor players that are of color, you know, is that, yeah, we would love to be the villain. We would love to be the catty one, the vindictive one, the, you know, the bitch, the this, the that. We would love it if there were enough of us to have played everything else. There's not enough people playing for us to be all of these things. All of us as individuals, we're all multifaceted. You could, you know, I'm sorry, as an example, Joleen, you could be a massive bitch. And they'd be like, oh my God, Jolene's a bitch. Oh, but Jolene's also the funny one. Oh, Jolene's also the caring one. Oh, she's also, you can be all these things. Yep. But when a person of color goes in, and I say person of color, but we could say a Black person, we could say a Latino person, we could say, you know, a brown person, like however that is, when they come in and they're considered the bitch, the villain, there's not the good, person who's portrayed. So now all of us are villains. Now
you're not allowed to have layers.
We're not allowed to have layers. We're not allowed to, you know, be sassy and be bitchy and be spoiled and entitled. And be amazing and like an amazing player and a strong female character and like an America's sweetheart. You know, we can't be all of those things because there's not enough diversity. There's not enough representation in that. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, that's what we're all pushing for as fans. We're constantly pushing for like diversity in race, culture, age, everything, sexual orientation. Like just give us the melting pot that we know we all live in. We want to see it represented in our favorite show. And I think that's something that's been lacking for a while. So then what about David's game? Because interesting enough, David's mentioned you.
He has.
On the feeds, and he always goes back to this one example of you picking Jackson or something for a veto or what?
So I picked, like, look, yes, I did pick Jackson. Unfortunately, the DR also didn't tell you that I picked Jackson because I was on the block with Kemi and I didn't want the veto to be used. And if not, like, this was going to be the only time that I could either trust him to throw it or trust him to have it and not use it, because I knew Kemi, unfortunately, was the target and was a very strong target. There was a moment in that time where they showed Nicole kind of being like, what the hell, Jessica? Why didn't you pick me to play the veto for you? I would have used it. And I didn't trust that because she was really good friends with Kemi, and Kemi and I were on the block. So for people to not have seen like that would have been like the stupidest move I could have done, because she at that time, and what confirmed it for me was when I came out of the house and I watched, and it was like she was campaigning to keep Kemi versus myself. And I knew that in the game. game. I knew that. And it was never shown. So those are things, and I feel horrible because here's the thing. A lot of people, and I don't think David does this either, they don't talk to the cameras. I'm not telling you what's in my head. I'm not saying like, I'm totally lying, guys. This is not how it's going down, because that's just not who I am. Being in that house felt like a house. I didn't really see cameras. I'm not talking to the cameras like I want the extra attention or the clout or whatever. It's really, I felt like I was talking to myself. It made me feel crazy. And I don't talk to myself, not even when I'm by myself in my house without a camera. I don't talk to myself. That might be cultural. I don't know. But that was the reason why I chose, Jackson. It was because I knew he thought that I wanted him up. He knew he had banished me. I wanted to mend that relationship so he didn't have to fear whether or not I was going to put him up. And I didn't want to be his target for the next time. You know, those were things that I was thinking about. But when we're talking about David, he has mentioned my name, and it was because right before him coming into the house, we had a little heated discussion regarding me, particularly saying that he wouldn't, that it would be most likely that he wouldn't align with people of color if he came back into the house. I'm not proud of what I said, but I stand by it because that's how I felt at the time. It wasn't something that I tweeted on my, I didn't put it on my Twitter. It was during a live, somebody else's live, and people were commenting, oh, I can't wait until David comes into the house and he works with Davon and Kemi and all of these people. And me knowing the situation and me knowing things that a lot of people didn't know, I just said, look, don't get your hopes up. I don't think this is going to happen. Like, he's besties with Jackson and with Jack and Jackson. I don't think he's going to be working with people of color. I really don't. We talked about that. He saw it. We discussed it. It was very passionate. He asked me why I felt that way. And we had a long discussion about it. I care for him as a person. I think that he's great. Did I feel like he was going to work with people of color? No, because he wasn't that person to do it in our season. He didn't try working with me. He wasn't trying to work with Kemi. Like, he got along with Ovi, but they were both in Camp Comeback. He didn't, he gravitated toward the bros, and he gravitated toward Kat, and he gravitated toward a lot of other people, not people of color. Is that right? Is that wrong? I mean, it is what it is. He's entitled to do whatever the hell he wants, but for other people to think that he's like for this, amazing cousin, that was his MO. I didn't feel it. And that was it. I didn't know he was going to internalize that and then make it a point to work with the people of color and then say it was messing up his game. That I was not expecting. I wasn't like, he basically said something to the degree of like, well, Jess and I had a argument or a discussion about it, and like, now I feel like I messed up my game by working with Davon and blah, blah, blah. And he made it seem like because somehow I made him, I don't know. It's like, did I make you do this? Do I have the power to do that? Like, am I that good? That I'm playing I'm playing All Stars right now?
Are you Derekking the season, Jess? Are you daddy Derekking and having all these? Did you pregame with David?
Yeah, call me Mama Jess. I'm just, I am playing that game. Obviously, I didn't do well because he's not in the game, not in the house anymore.
Not pretty far,
at least, but. No. And so that really surprised me. I think that really surprised me. I didn't think that he was going to say something that I thought maybe he wanted to keep personal, and put it out there. But look, I'm a strong believer that nobody makes you do anything. You take information the way you take information. You decide whether or not you want to do it or not. That to say that someone like,
I think he was
looking. It's messing me up.
Yeah, I felt like he was looking for a scapegoat. Thank you, Dan Barry, for the super sticker. That's so kind and generous of you. Much appreciated. I think he was looking for a scapegoat. I think, unfortunately for David, his reputation and what the audience saw as well followed him into the house. And so, you know, Davon said on the feed she had been warned, and there was a lot of conversations, you know, of what she saw being a fan of the show. Absolutely. We're very worried that David would do the same thing as, you know, he had previously done. And then outside the show, being seen with these guys, it doesn't look good. After everything they said and did to not only you, to Ovi, to Kemi. And I think if you made amends or whatever, that's, you know, his business. But don't expect everyone to understand that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and again, he made some great points. He's like, how do you know if I'm best friends with them or not? Like, I was like, look, all I know is that there was a lot of stuff that they talked about. I mean, the amount of can I swear?
You can say shit. Yep. You can say shit. shit.
Yeah. The amount of shit that they talked about in the house doesn't deserve a picture of you two blowing it up and you know, lifting weights and putting it on Instagram. Like, first of all, I've never posted anything on Instagram with any of them. I have not, like, I will go on record to say, like, I've not had a physical conversation or an individual text with Jack or Jackson since I've been out of the house, nor do I ever plan to. They've never said they were sorry for any of the things that they've said. And I was like one of the least of what was said. So it wasn't even about me, nor do I expect one, you know? Mm-hmm. But then find out that they really didn't do that to David either. So the fact that he's like posting, I'm like, and I get it. He's like, I believe in, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in all of these things. But for me, I believe in forgiveness when I know that when I feel that what they're saying is very genuine. Mm-hmm. And as we can like tell from various different things, like those apologies are really just performative, you know?
Exactly. And it appeared to just the casual eye watching that Jack and Jackson, it's so weird for me to call them by their government names because they'll always be Aquadouche and Jerks. And to me, they used David to prove like, hey, we don't hate Black people. Look at us. We're not racist. And it's like, where was that same energy before people were calling you out? You didn't give a shit. You guys said horrible things about this man, and you made you had horrible biases. And now you're out there, like you just have to be. It's very like very Hollywood friendship of them to kind of put him out there to lift themselves. And then we learned after the whole, you know, Jerks and apology, him wanting to be on the challenge, and that, you know, they want to do other things, and so it looked to us like they were using him, and I think it was just you recognizing that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, they're in no world like it just like in no world. You know what I mean? And the thing is like, I want to talk. If I'm talking the talk, I want to walk the walk, right? So if I'm an ally for Black and brown people, like more than likely, I'm going to have Black and brown people in my life aside from the people that I've made in Big Brother. That's just me. I have friends that this affects. It affects me. It affects my family. It affects, you know, some of my best friends, you know. And that's, you know, and that's how it is. And just by casual observation, this is a learning experience for all of them. And some of them just ain't learning. They're just not.
No. And Jess, you did the Lord's work with those text messages. I mean, that gave me life forever. I'm glad
it gave somebody like, 'cause I got some major hate for that. So
who would hate you on that? You are calling out how performative and BS these people are, and how disingenuous and how racist and comfortable they are being racist within a group chat. Who would give you shit for that besides other racists?
I mean, I won't say, but there were quite a few that unfollowed me from my season because of this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It just proves BB21 was full of trash. There was only a few of you gems that we all found. And just like Ram was saying, Jessica, you should have been invited to the season instead of Nicole A. I'm going to be honest. I think so too. I really do. This was a too soon situation. I think for Nicole, there's a lot of stuff she didn't process, and I think she knows that. And it would have been really fun to watch.
I think it was a little too soon for all of us, and I'm actually glad that I wasn't, because although I've always said that if I go back, it's definitely going to be a different Jessica that you've seen, because I've kind of learned what to do, kind of like the what's to do and what not to do in regard to the more so the fans, you know, and playing it up for the fandom and as a fan of BB myself and as a player, play the game, but also acknowledge that people want to see big moves. I'm like, I didn't know that people wanted to see big moves. That was just Jessica in play. That was the gamer Jessica who's like, I don't care what the fans think. If Jack and Jackson are their sweethearts, which I thought that I was gonna get shit for putting up Jackson.
Oh, no.
I thought that everybody loved him. Like, I was literally brainwashed to the idea that everybody loved him because of the amount of love that that his alliance had for him. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, if these people are crying and doing all of this extra, you know, emotional work, I'm sure that I'm going to get hated. I'm going to be like considered a man hater. I'm like, I don't know what, like, I was just so worried, and I did it anyway because I knew it was the best for my game. And at that point, like, I needed to, I didn't understand why these two individuals weren't getting targeted. You know, like, it for me, BB for me is like, sorry, and no offense, you get rid of the alpha males and you get rid of the nerds. Like, that's the two that you do. And I say nerds with all of the most
like
love in my heart. The gamers, the super gamer nerd types, because they're super gamers, and they use that to get themselves taken with them. And I knew nobody was going to take my fat ass. Nobody was going to, like, everybody was looking at me like, okay, Jessica can't win a physical comp. She's too big. She's too, like, she walks around with a little too much of that confidence. She has all the girls. She's trying to align with all these girls. Like, they did threaten at some point with as a threat. There was like, Jackson wasn't looking at me and saying, I want to take care of you. Come under my wing, like he did with Nicole Anthony. You know, he was literally always talking about, like, I did this to protect you. He could protect someone tiny like Holly and someone tiny like Nicole Anthony, but my big ass, you're not gonna, what the hell are you gonna, I'm bigger than you. Who are you protecting right now? Like,
he couldn't deal. It's the same thing. Anyone who's not like 100 pounds, those kind of guys don't know what to do with them, because their brain, they're so simple and basic that they're like, she's small, me lift, me protect, me have water.
Exactly. And I mean, and we saw at the end of the show, like, I think that the craziest thing that I ever saw was when my husband came and protected me on Twitter, talking to Jack about, you know, how he flirts with me to make myself feel better about myself. And I'm like, I don't even think you know the amount. I might be a big girl, but mama gets fed. Like, I don't need.
That is insane to me. This square jaw SpongeBob loser really thinks a model, just like, okay. So I always say, like, when people are like, it's a joke, I'm like, I'm a comedian. I get paid to tell jokes. So I know what's funny. I understand it's subjective. So it might be funny and it's not in my realm or whatever. But when people try to throw that when they're being, you know, this or that, Jess gets paid because she's beautiful. She models. That's what, and I know you won't say it because you're too humble, but here's the thing. You are not, there is no other models in that house. I didn't see any other models. There's a couple pageant chicks and a chick who likes crystals and a little one from, you know, Kemi's gorgeous, but you are the legit model who is getting paid, so that these dudes are so dumb that they think, like, I'm making her feel good about what? Have you seen Jess's husband? He's super hot. And also, she's a model. You don't deal with models.
They were just as surprised. They were just as surprised to see my husband as they were when they saw Hannah. You know, it was like legit. They saw Steve's picture and they were just like, "Oh my God, he's so hot." He was like, "Yeah, yeah." What are they thinking otherwise? Why? And I get it. It's because, and that's what I'm talking about, the representation and why it's so important to have different body types and different people there. And it has, to me, I mean, yeah, I guess it could be like, well, yeah, I'm a model, duh. But no, but it's not, because I'm still a big girl. And a lot of people wouldn't know that I'm a model because when you model, it's really about being photogenic. I know a lot of girls that aren't that cute in real life that are gorgeous models because they take these phenomenal pictures. So I don't even think about it as that, you know, and I was with a ton of gorgeous women, but I've also shot with a whole bunch of gorgeous women. I've also been on set with Victoria's Secret models. Like, there is very, very little that you can do to make me feel like I'm not deserving of something. You know, I mean, and that's not me tooting my own horn. It's just saying,
no,
like, you're not gonna degrade the level of you know, of respect and what I deserve, because I think we can get both. I think I can get mine and you can get yours just the same. I'm not coming after you, boo-boo. I'm not coming after you. I got my own blessings, you know, and that's what I feel like a lot of people don't get. I think that's more of an age thing, because there were a lot of insecure, immature people in my season. And
then how do we explain Holly? No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to throw you under the bus with people you're friends with. That's just my little joke. Kevin Hicks, thank you for the super sticker. And Busy Blues in the house. Busy Blues says Jessica's husband is everything. Jack. Oh my God, Jack looks like he fell down a flight of stairs compared to Jess's husband. Like, someone pushed Jack down the stairs and he got brain damage and he thinks he is Aqua douche and or Aqua man, and he's not. Julie B, thank you for the 999 super chat. Says, hey ladies, so glad to see you together on here again. Jess, loved you on your season. You made one of the best moves, the best week. Putting those alpha males up. Thank you for being you and speaking the truth.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, after this season, you know, my stock went up. I was like, yay. I didn't I'm not the worst player on Big Brother anymore.
Well, you weren't. Here's the thing. Big Brother used to be, Jess, where we would find out people's true gameplay within their DRs. And that was what you would get excited to watch an episode, because you go, okay, I'm going to see what they're really doing. There was no need to even talk to the cameras that much. But now the DRs are so scripted and they're so overproduced that it's just like they're pushing a certain narrative. So you can't even really, it's like what they tried to do with Danny this season. They're trying to make her out to be a master manipulator when no, she was under Cody's thumb the entire season, or his, you know, soccer shorts, I don't know, where she wasn't this powerful, evil kind of player she wanted to be. She basically bowed down to the alpha males and went against her own best interest. So I miss the days where you would be able to explain your moves. So you were on a season where it's a new school Big Brother. They're not doing that anymore. They want to talk about showmances. They want to talk about this, that, and the other thing. They don't want to talk about game and strategy. And so now, unfortunately, you do have to start. So Davon started talking to the camera more this season. We've seen Christmas do it. Cringemas. Oh my God, Jess, I have to get your opinion on Cringemas, because you guys, if you haven't seen the feeds, she is on the block and Cody won HOH, and we talked about that in a prior video. And Tyler and Cringemas are on the block. The POV was played. Cody won it again, because this guy just can't lose just one for us codes. And so it appeared going into this that Christmas was the target. And now, because Ty is just, this game of Tyler's is messy. He wants to go home. He wants to eat off the vegan cookbook. He wants to sell his trinkets. He's just not in it to win it. So now they've turned their sights on Ty, possibly because he opened up to Enzo and that information got back to Cody. But Christmas is now talking to the camps, which she has for a while. And she's going, love you guys. It's so cringy, Jess. What is your take on this woman?
Oh gosh, I was okay. So little thing about me is that I will now admit, because I didn't know it was that big of a difference, but I was a casual. So although I've watched since season 10, I have never watched live feeds, and this is my first time, aside from BB Canada, watching live feeds. And wow. I actually am one of those that liked Christmas on her season. And obviously we know that a lot of things get edited. She had a really good, she got a really good edit, and we followed each other on Instagram, had a little of an exchange, nothing too crazy. And her coming in, I really was on the defense, because I was just like, I like her. I don't know why people are having all of these issues with her. And then, wow, it was like one thing after another thing. And it's like, I'm the type of person who I'm always looking at both sides of the story. It is my curse. I'm a Libra. That's my curse. I see both sides to every story. I try to be very balanced. I'm always, giving people the benefit of the doubt. But in this case, after maybe the fourth time, I was just like, okay, I can't do this anymore, because I seriously think that it's very much of, a Jackson scenario where it's like this girl was unfit to be in that house. It's everything that has transpired from, I don't know, saying she wants to be, she wants a woman to win, to targeting all the women, was just not even the most disturbing thing for me, because obviously you're going to align with men. I'm not the type of person who's like women only. Seriously, I would like for all of us to be empowered and understand that working with women is going to benefit you. Her choices to be with the men, although insanely dumb, I have no idea why she even went that route. Was the least of my worries, from, saying she's going to get shot to, to doing this little clap back, to being so offended, but saying that everybody else gets offended, to saying that everybody else, gets what, is holding a grudge to her, just talking about making things so personal, and then her taking things personal. The lack of self-awareness with that woman is just beyond. It's beyond comprehension, and, so I don't know, she's on the block. She wasn't taking it so well. It's so weird. I loved your rendition of her, because I never thought until then that she did look like the Joker, and it's just really does kind of act a little bit in that way. Just, and no offense to those, who have any type of mental illness. I do suffer from anxiety. But wow, it's the amount, the personalities that this girl has are multiple, and I can't keep up with it. It's just kind of wow. Sometimes she looks manic, and other times it's a little scary. She gets that even the glazed look when she was talking about Devon and called her Dominique. I'm just kind of,
I know. Oh my gosh.
It's a little mind blowing.
I thought there's a psych test, Jess. What is going on?
There is. You know what's funny too? Is I thought for a quick second I wasn't going to get casted for the show, because I'll put all my shit out there. Look, so I had been prescribed Xanax. I've been prescribed Xanax before. Like I say, I kind of suffer from it's inherited, anxiety disorder, and so I had gone to an emergency room once in my life to because of my panic attacks, and was prescribed Xanax. It was a one-time deal. I within the 3 years, they gave me a bottle of 12, and I had taken 2. So I still had expired Xanax. I don't believe in those in that. If you do it, that's fine, but I do not. I like more the holistic routes.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that I had to find the emergency room doctor that treated me and go to my regular general practitioner to tell them that I do not use this, you know, that I do not, like, it was a big thing. Like, I had to go through a lot to tell people that I am not addicted to meds, that I don't need this for, you know, to be in the house. So I thought that obviously everybody else went through the same thing. I don't know, like, because you are, I mean, like, I was very proud of myself, y'all. I don't think you understand, for a big ass girl like me. And when I say I love myself, I joke around when I call myself, well, I don't call I mean, I am a big girl, but I don't say that hating myself. Like, I totally will not say I'm a thin, you know, I'm a thin, beautiful woman. I'm a big ass, beautiful woman, you know, whatever.
I call myself sturdy, Jess. I'm sturdy.
Yeah, I'm thick with all kinds of C's, and you know, but my proud moment was actually saying that I got accepted on a show that values that every individual needs to be of the utmost health, at tip-top health shape. For someone who is 200, look, I'm even giving you all the tea, 240 fucking pounds. I'm 240 pounds. Okay. To say that a 240-pound woman has no problems with her blood pressure, no problems with being able, you know, with her lung capacity and her oxygen levels, no problems in her blood tests, like completely does not have diabetes, does not have any, you know, mental health disorder or anything like that, does not have any, is not on any type of medications. Like, that was a big deal for me, because it's telling you that it's not about my size. It's not, my health has nothing to do with the size of who I am. Like, I'm running half marathons. I'm not like, you know, Mickey fit, you know.
But is he fit though? Because he himself admitted to having issues with prescription drugs. It looks like he does a lot of dieting that doesn't seem to be the most healthy, like crash type dieting and things, and very restrictive.
Yeah,
and eating out of the garbage. Is that healthy?
Exactly, and that's the stigma, and that's what I'm saying, is that people look at me and they give me that bias. That's the bias that I get. I'm the big girl. I wasn't a part of that big alliance because I didn't look like I could win comps. But tell me, did Annalise?
No, and she
and she looked at the most physical fit of everything. They picked her, and like Nick and all of them picked this main alliance because, and they said it, these people look like they can win competition. So you're looking at me and you're saying that I cannot fucking win a competition. And look, bitch, I won two. I won two. So, like, to me, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So for me, that was a big accomplishment in saying, like, look, I clean bill of health. I'm ready to win. Obviously, I don't have the upper strength to pull up 240 pounds or stay up on anything, but neither can the big guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's like wall comps, even though Mickey won, wasn't something that he was supposed to win. Like, Fessy didn't win that. Like, other people, the bigger guys cannot hold their own weight in, you know, in competitions like that. That's not what I was looking to do. But, you know, the bias there, it's just more so that bias that I was trying. So I was really happy to know that I was on the show and completely healthy.
What you gave other women, because so few of us are TV thin. If you guys don't know, if you're not in the industry, TV thin is, I talk about, you know, struggles with my own weight and things like that, and just struggling in the fact of getting cast for things, struggling with how, when I did have an agent, what they would send me on was just like very sad to me. And it's because, you know, that TV thin, you see people on TV, you're like, damn, they're skinny. You see them in person, they're non-existent.
They're even thinner. They're even, people look at me in real life and they're like, wow, I didn't think that you were thinner. Like, you don't look plus size at all. And I'm just like, well, I'm an average ass woman. I am an average woman. Yeah. This is how a lot of us look. Like, the camera does add pounds to you. And
so many pounds. When I have the camera on myself like this, but then if someone else films me, I'm like, what the hell? Who is that stranger? I don't know her. But no, I think it's so great for us to look at as like normal women. Like not that there's no such thing as normal, but you know what I mean? Like against that stereotype that we all have to be stick thin, because our bodies come in all different shapes and sizes. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why when Jess is saying representation is so important, because then once we see this, we normalize it. And then we're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. And then people stop getting, bullied for it. And your size isn't an issue anymore. But if they keep pushing this narrative and our media keeps doing it, then it's always going to be an issue and it sucks. And like Jewel Nelson's saying, it's called being healthy. Skinny doesn't mean healthy. I've been on both sides. Me too, Jewel. I've been at my skinniest and I was drinking Pinot Grigio and eating trail mix because I was super sad and I went through a horrible breakup and my boyfriend cheated on me with a vegan.
No, it's totally true. Like I've been on both sides too. Well, not both sides, but I have been. I think the smallest I've ever been was like maybe a 10. And that was like the very, very peak of my diet culture, performance. Like that was when you were eating like things that had Sweet and Low and all of those things that are now processed and deemed unhealthy, and that shrink your fat cells or whatever, and it makes it even harder for you to lose weight. It's that mentality, not to get too preachy, but for me it was more the mentality of being healthy, being able to, like, stamina was a big thing for me. And as we see, sometimes the smallest girls like aren't the most physically fit either. They huff and puff after, maybe running a block. And so they're, between my friends and I, like my friends are really naturally thin and they've never worked out a day in their life. And she calls herself, she's fat. She's fat. She's a skinny fat girl. She's a skinny fat girl. So that is what she would call herself, because all she does is eat like hot Cheetos and, and Belvita, bags of like hot Cheetos and Belvita with a can of Diet Coke. And it's just like, okay, girl. And I sometimes I do too, but like, obviously I'm the one who looks like I would do that.
So there's a different kind of judgment. I understand what you're doing, because in your business, I think it's so important to show that beautiful comes in all different sizes. And just within comedy, I try to like make more jokes. Like I'm strong. Like I literally not benched, but I squatted my husband on our first date. I was also an alcoholic at the time, but I just was like, on my back, because my dad was terrified of eating disorder as a kid. I don't know how he was so cognizant of this at that time, because this is like in the 80s. So he would always tell me, you want to be strong. So he would make me do like push-ups and stuff. So then I literally got strong. Like I built muscle as a kid. And my dad would always say, muscle weighs more than fat. Don't believe the scale. Like you want to be a strong girl. You want to be strong. And so I always valued how strong I was until I moved to LA, and they were like, and I'm just like, what, huh? And then it didn't matter how long I'd been doing comedy, how funny I was. The skinnier, younger girls, they're like, well, we're going to give her the TV spot. And you're like, but I have more material. It doesn't matter. It all became about what's marketable and what they wanted to sell. And if you notice, there's not a lot of, just in my field, comedians out there. Look at Amy Schumer. She's not even like, she's in the middle, and they rip her apart. So you either have to be on the whole other end of the spectrum, like Alec Baldwin made the joke in 30 Rock, where he told, I think Jenna, when she gained weight, he was like, you either have to gain, 40 or lose 20. Like there's no in between in Hollywood. So, and that's how it is. You see very small girls, or you see people who are like, that's their persona.
Exactly. And you hit it right on the head, because even with Amy Schumer, like her whole spiel is making fun of herself as being a fat girl, and she's not a fat girl at all. Mm-hmm. So it's actually quite laughable, because I mean the girl's like a size 8. She just ends up she just has like a chubbier face, and that's her face. Like you can't really do anything unless you're just gonna fill yourself up with with fillers, or chisel yourself up in a different way. So
yeah, exactly. Like Kat said, I stopped paying attention to a number on a scale. Now we just use the scale of how healthy you feel. I think that is wonderful and beautiful. And I feel, going back to the Christmas thing, I agree with you, is that, or I feel similar to you. Like, I did not like her on BB19 because I was a feed person and stuff. And I just felt like so many allowances were made for Christmas. And she was in the Cult of Paul, and I just wasn't here for it. But when she came back, enough time had passed that I thought, I'm going to give her another chance. In my early videos, I'm like, there's something about me. I'm always going to cheer for the women. I'm always, at my core, I want women to do well. I want everyone to do well, but I really like strive to be a voice for other women. And so I saw her, I'm like, she's so strong looking in that she's in this like CrossFit world. Like, yeah, let's see her wreck these alpha dudes. She came in with an alpha dude body, and I was like, yes, I'm here for it. And then to see her still be that same person that follows along with what the men say, it seems like every woman who questioned the men were out very early. You get the Janelles out early, you know, you get Bailey out early, you get, obviously, you know, Davon, and, you know, Bailey and Davon had their own situation where they maybe definitely should have worked with Janelle and Kaser in the beginning, but, you know, that's something they'll deal with, you know, outside the house. I'm sure they'll be fine. And, so I understand that, but then to just see Christmas just be such an utter disappointment, and to hear Danny and Franzel and Cringemas say, we just want, you know, the women are dwindling. Yes, you've watched it happen week after week, and you've done nothing. And these dudes will stick together. They will stick together.
I just think it's just the massive the hypocritical nature of it all, you know. It's just like, I don't do well with hypocrites. Like, I mean, there obviously we all have it in us. Like, sometimes we say one thing and we do another, and but for this to be an ongoing thing, like, it's not that you did something hypocritical, is that it's that you're a hypocrite. There's two, it's two different things, you know, and that's how I feel like it is. The women on this season have just been so hypocritical, in the sense that they're just like, we're all strong, we're going to work together, and blah, blah, blah. We want a woman, you know, we want to see a woman win. That would be awesome. And then it's just like, take them down, take them down, take them down, take them down. But while they're taking them down, talk as much massive shit as you possibly can. Absolutely. Drag them. You know, go ahead, slut shame them. Go ahead, do, make violent aggression, aggressive remarks toward them. Sure. You know, call them unstable. Absolutely. Like, just dig them a really nice, like, personal hole. And that's one of the things where I'm just like, okay, now I can't. Like, game is game, and I get it. I mean, it was one of the things that I couldn't stand about Mickey, is that he made things so personal. I feel like you can make these moves and you can do certain things without getting personal. You can lie and you can say, yeah, I'm going to vote for you, and not vote for them. But, you know, don't say it's because you're, like, I don't know, a horrible mother, or because you're, you know what I mean? It's
so new school for Big Brother, because there used to be a time where, like, I don't like you in this game, you're not good for me, bye, I'm voting you out. And now, and I think, I don't know if Paul started this, but I remember BB19 being very heavy on this. They had to tear these people apart and their character apart, not just their game. They went at them so hard personally, and now we've seen that become a trend within this game, because none of these people can win HOH. Cringemas, Enzo, I was gonna call him Corey, Cody, whatever the hell his name is, COVID Cody, they all have to have a reason why this person is like a bad person and doesn't deserve the money. How about the person just isn't good for your game, and move it along? And then they want to cry, and then they want hugs. And if that person is upset about being on the block, they're personally offended. And if you don't hug them for taking away $5,000 from a chance at it,
look, I was all about Kevin. I was like, don't hug them bitches. Don't hug nobody. If you saw, like, I feel bad because, like, I did hug the people on my, and I really should have taken, I really liked Kevin's remark where he's like, let's hug when we're all in a happy place. Like, let's all hug when we're happy. Let's have happy hugs, right? I really wish that I could, you know, do that. But yeah, you know, Kat didn't hug not one single bitch out there. She hugged me and she kept it moving. You know, like, I agree. We need to normalize not hugging.
Yes.
It's like it, because it is that, but that's absolutely a part of the hypocritical nature of it all. It's like, yeah, it's just game. Don't worry. Like, I'm not.
It's not game. These people make it so personal. Christmas made her nominations everything so personal with the shots she took at saying that Bailey and the shot she took about taking shots and about, you know, getting stabbed and all these things. She's made everything very personal. I would like to get your thoughts on Nicole and Nicole's gameplay. And have you ever met her outside of it?
I have not. We only followed each other on Instagram, and but I've always felt that she felt like she was too good for you know, for certain people in, you know, in her community, you know, in the community. I feel like, you know, she does have some high, you know, she keeps herself in really high regards. But when it comes to people who she interviews, like what she does, who she, you know, who she keeps around, like, are definitely winners and are definitely probably white. I don't know. Like,
she's very insulated in her white world and her world of listening to men. I can see that. And I can see that she's a lot of people, what we call her on this channel. She's very entitled. And I think she's so used to, because she's in this little small town. This is just me, you know, speculating, but
absolutely. If you're like if you're like the shit in Ubli, Michigan, then you think like I've always said this. Look, the reason why you have all of these big personalities on Big Brother is because ultimately every person that's on Big Brother is the shit where they come from. You know, where, like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm
the shit.
A big deal in my head. You know, like out of my friends, I'm the person who, I mean, all of them are successful, don't get me wrong, but I'm the one who's the most outgoing. I'm the one who has a good amount of friends. I'm the one who likes to be out and about and is like kind of like the life of the party in my circle. You know, I have, even though we're all successful, I have like a different type of, you know, success. I still consider myself successful. I also think that everybody else who plays the game is also successful and like that in their own world. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm the most successful. I'm not saying I'm the prettiest. I'm not saying I'm the most of anything. I'm just saying that I'm a pretty damn big deal. And I think that other people think the same way. And when you have 16 of those people all in one room, it starts to get, you know, it starts to get crazy. And like, look, Nicole, she was a big deal. She's a big deal in Ubli. She's a big deal to her man. You know, I bet you Vic thinks she's like the hottest thing since, since white sliced bread, you know, like that's the next thing. It's Wonder Bread and then it's her. It's like that. Those are the two things. So, and that's big because I'm sure he grew up eating empanadas and like arroz con gandules and like all of this other, you know, arroz con pollo, like all that good stuff, you know, and then he's eating mayonnaise salads. Yeah, and now he's eating salad, pasta salad, garbage salad. I don't know what that type of salad. Now he's eating different. Now he's eating a little different, but he loves it regardless. You know, so that's the thing. And so yeah, she's to me personally, like I think. Well, when I was following her, I thought she's the cutest thing. But again, I also considered her one of those nerds, and she's like one of the ones that got exactly to where she got. She got first place because she was that underplayed. Like she was playing that nerd game. She's just like, look, and not just like Nicole Anthony, but I'm saying like take a very pretty girl, pop some glasses on her. Right. Hold on. And then just make her a nerd.
You're so quirky.
Would you like, right? Maybe I should have worn these all the time, and maybe I would have made.
People would have feared you even more.
No, but I mean, if those were like constantly on me. Like, come on, take the glasses off of someone like, you know, like all of the, and they're gorgeous individuals. All of them are beautiful.
Yeah, but they're definitely like filling some kind of spot. Cause I remember Nicole Anthony saying, even on the feeds and stuff, she's like, I don't wear this stuff. I wear combat boots and leather jackets. Like, this is who I am. So she's now, it appears, has went right into that character they created for her on Big Brother, which was, I live with my parents and here's my dad's
oh yeah, her Instagram is gorgeous. Like some of the what I've seen Nicole in her, you know, when she's working her campaigns and doing that, the very, very different person. So was Meech. So was Big Meech. Like, she's like absolute very different than the character that she portrayed on her season. Very, very different. But that is like what you're kind of like pegged in, because they need that. And they get far. They really do. Like, some of these, I mean, like if you're someone who is relatively social, if you have a good social game, like you go really far. But that, like, I've always yeah. No, the only thing I don't like about Nicole is that she is honestly way too whiny. Yes, the victim game. Like, I didn't know anybody could really play it the way that girl is playing it. Again, lack of self-awareness. She's right there with Christmas. Like, I think that those two, like, it's just like, wow, read the room. Like, what? Seriously?
I feel like Christmas is really not self-aware, but I think Nicole Franzel's self-aware. I think so many people have made excuses for her through her life. And she's also realized that these tears, these sweet little white Michigan petite tears, give her power over these dudes. So her meat shields that she uses in this game, because all these people want to take Nicole Franzel to the end. But listen, Cody, you take Franzel to the end, you are not necessarily going to win, because Franzel has basically, what she's been able to do is, they've listened to Cody's game or whatever. But if you see her on the feeds, she's feeding up his ego and getting him to take her along. And she's going to get to final two without ever having to, I mean, she might win a couple here, but really having to win, and was able to manipulate him to believe that taking her was the best option. So I think she does, in fact, and there will be people in that jury who are so bitter on Cody because his jury management sucks balls. Absolutely. And he's just the worst at talking to people, and he's very entitled, and he turned on allies, and it came off very much that he was using people. So I think Franzel actually has a good chance of winning, because people, if she gets to the end with him, he's going to be judged very heavily. And she, if she plays her cards right, can be like, I didn't have to do anything. I used Cody and these guys to get me far, because I knew coming in as a winner, I was going to be a huge target. So I needed to make myself as non-threatening as possible. So I hid behind these meat shields, which is a strategy of mine. You guys should know if you've seen me play on other seasons. And they were dumb enough, unfortunately, to fall for it. And I only had to a couple times. I mean, I don't know how she's going to get the Ian vote and the Davon vote, but you know, stranger things have happened, because Cody is as unlikable as Franzel.
But you would think of, and I've also thought about this, but you know, like, I also was in a jury, and I thought that there could have slightly been a chance for Holly to win, except that all of the girls there that were there were just like, absolutely not. Like, it was just like, there was so much of a disdain at that point for Holly. Like, with Holly,
what she did to Kat, and how she just swooped up, jerks it, and then like talked shit about Kat and all that stuff.
I think it was a majority of things. I think that it could have been anywhere from the way, like, Holly let, you know, Jackson treat her and not like kind of get stepped over, where some of the women just didn't have that amount of respect for her, that she didn't know how to play her own game. And then also like think about this. Okay, so Kat, not Kat, Christy and Sis were the two that didn't vote for Holly, but they were like best friends, kind of like the threesome that you see. Danny, it was like Danny, Nicole, and Christmas. It was that much of, I mean, they would sleep in the same room when there was HOH. They would have sleepovers. They were in the same alliance. They were very much about like empowering each other, all this stuff. That all like really went downhill once I kind of, or maybe kind of sort of told Sis that Holly was talking shit about her. I don't know. Like, and
I love it.
and a lot of people didn't understand that game either. I don't know if anybody remembered, but like I ended up telling Holly, or I ended up telling Sis that she was being looked at as a mean girl, that people were calling her a mean girl, that Holly was saying that, you know, that Mickey was telling her that Sis was trying to flirt with Mickey. It was like a big thing, right? I wasn't doing this on purpose. I mean, like, no, it's like, wasn't saying that I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was saying it so that I could get an understanding of where Sis was coming from, because she was saying she's not a mean girl and that she's not trying to, you know, do A, B, and C. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm hearing. Like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. So like at this point, I had nothing to lose. I was like, if I don't do something to kind of create this extra friction, like I'm going to be the next person out, you know, because that was the week that Kat left.
That explains why Annalise went from her and Holly as a twosome and she moved more towards Christy. Because when her and Christy were like, we're best friends, I'm like, since when? Since when?
Yeah. And well, they had always been cool with each other, but there was like that, like there was like a tight thing there. Like Holly and Sis were actually really good friends. And then, but like you all saw the feeds. If you saw the feeds, you know that Holly was talking mad crap about everybody. So out of everybody. So I mean, and if that was her MO, that was her MO. It is what it is. Like, I'm just trying to stay as like factual as possible, but I knew some of this stuff and I didn't say it, but then I got really confused because it was like, you know, America's field trip happened. And then I'm seeing Christy and Sis getting chosen for that, which means, okay, America doesn't really like them that much. Holly's telling me that they're mean girls. Maybe she's right, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm still going to kind of play this. And then when I found out about that final 6 that Nicole told me about when Cliff and Kat, you know, were on the block and Kat was going home, that's when I was like, you can say whatever you want to me. It's fine. Like, I don't get it. You might as well be a mean girl. And she's like, I'm not a mean girl. And then I just threw it out there. And then that's when Christy and Sis took me upstairs to Camp Comeback. They were like, no, we're going after Jackson, yada, 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 all of this, talking all this shit. Like, we would never like target you. It's Jackson and Holly. Jackson was listening. That was all he needed to put both of them up. So in a way, it kind of just played itself out, you know. It wasn't like my general intention. I was doing it to kind of clear air, trying to figure out where everybody was at, you know. But going back to it, what I'm saying is that the jury, that moment right there, split everything up for the girls, and is the whole reason why Holly didn't get that vote. It was and it wasn't because Jackson played, in my opinion, that he played the good game, because the girls didn't care about the comps. Okay, you're a comp beast, and what? Where's the strategy? Where's everything else? It was the fact that Holly could not, like, first of all, they couldn't stand her at that point. Like, they really couldn't. I mean, they're all good now. Like, we're all good or whatever for the most part. But, you know, yeah. And they were just like, no, we're not gonna vote her. So taking it back now to jury, we have a lot of bitter girls. We have a lot of, you know, girls that weren't even about each other. Like, so if you're gonna say, like, if Danny's gonna say that she's more surprised that Cody, like, she's more hurt by Cody not being on her side, is she really, if it came down to Cody versus Nicole, would she give Nicole the vote? Would she? Wouldn't she? I don't know, because Nicole happened to not be her number one. Not to be her number one. And if he finds out, and if people come out and they find out that Nicole has been throwing her under the bus. She will be super pissed off and will make it personal and would be like, I'm not voting for her. And I could totally see that. And with all of these girls, you have Nicole, you have Da'Vonne. I would be very, very surprised if Da'Vonne ever gave Nicole a vote, even if it was against Cody. Like, I don't ever see that. I don't at this particular moment see Ian doing it, but that could change. I
guess it just depends, because it could, like you said, it could go one of two ways. It's either Danny's so pissed at Cody that she feels betrayed, but if people do come in the house and say, well, she could go the way of Nicole was behind it, Nicole tainted Cody toward me. He would have been for me if Nicole wouldn't have gotten away. Or she could go about it, I'm so mad at Cody, I felt like we were closer than we are. So if he is in a final two with Nicole, I will vote for Nicole. And I will also rally the troops within jury, being Kevin, who already hates Cody. And maybe we can, I don't know if they can talk Da'Vonne into it, but talk everybody else, maybe even Ian into it. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, at this point, I don't think that Da'Vonne, her moral, I don't think, I mean, and I don't know Da'Vonne like that, but like, I wouldn't think that her moral compass would let her do that, because we'll say, I don't believe in bitter jury. Like, everybody votes the way they feel a good game should be played. Some people are like, they can do whatever as long as it's like game related and it's not personal. That could be that could be a way. Another way could be like, I don't mind them being the villain as long as they own up to it. Other people will be like, I don't mind the villain even if they don't own up to it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody votes so differently. And God, I need to see the jury already. I need a jury segment like ASAP. Super ASAP.
Me too. Jess, when you're in jury, like, how often, I mean, how much time do you guys actually get to deliberate, like sit in a circle, or are you just constantly talking about it in jury, or what's going on in jury?
We have babysitters, and so like, we're not really supposed to be talking about, the idea is to not talk about game until the cameras are there. So, but that's damn near impossible. I'll tell you right there. Like, I mean, you talk about game all the time. All the time. It's like, I mean, we're out of the house and we still talk game. You know what I mean? If we could have done this and this differently and this differently, like, I feel that you're constantly talking games. So the PAs would definitely kind of like make their rounds, and they're like, hey, you can't talk game, but like,
just walk around the house to babysit you, these people.
Oh my God, yeah, we have babysitters, absolutely.
So if you're outside playing volleyball, like we saw in the segment, or you're drinking by the pool, you have like Jenny, the PA, like, what are you guys doing? She just watches you. Oh my God, it's so weird. That's so, because
we are monitored like babies 24/7. So I don't even know if I could tell you that, but yeah, sure.
Well,
I feel like someone else said that at some point.
The house guests already said it on the feeds. Like, Ian was talking about, they would try to cut the feeds, but they would they wouldn't catch it before, because he was like, who's ever my caretaker or my taker in jury, like, our whatever they call his PA or whatever. She's like, they're not going to like me. And they even talked before about having someone live in the house when they're
oh man, absolutely. Well, obviously there has to be somebody there to make sure that you're not like sneaking stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
I just didn't know once you get to jury. I thought it was like a free-for-all where you guys hang out, you drink, you party, you're just like decompress. And I thought you guys talk about it. So by the end, you guys are pretty much ready.
I mean, I'm sure that, like, I don't know. I mean, like, okay, so in my jury house, there were 3 couples and they slept together. So it was just like they were in the same room. So obviously they could talk game as much as they wanted.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jess, but I just have to know, how hard was it not to grab Kat by the hair and be like, how are you going to have sex with baby bags? He's disgusting, like human and also not attractive. Like, he's pitting out every second. His hair, he's like a broke ass Eminem. What are you doing?
I think that this is a testimony to my affection and my love for Kat, because like, I seriously it was like my worst nightmare. Do you know what it's like going into, like, I was so excited to see Kat. Like, if I got evicted, and I'm just like, yes, I'm gonna go see Kat. This is awesome. I'm out of the house, you know, like there's like this sense of like freedom and this like something that's lifted off of you. It's like a demon came out of your soul, and now you're just happy, and you have like happy thoughts, and you think of like amazing possibilities for your future. You know, it's just like this most like amazing feeling. And then I went and thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to hang out with Kat. We're going to just like have so much fun. And when I saw what I saw, it was just like they literally should have just made that a whole segment of me and my faces. After now that I know that, you know, that y'all had like every type of meme of myself, like you would have loved my jury faces, because I could not, it was bad.
Nothing appealing about this dude. I was just, when I saw that jury segment, I'm like, no, Kat, I'm all for sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, except for baby bangs. Like, gross. He is disgusting.
You would be very surprised, but baby bangs had a lot. Look, I don't call like him baby bangs. That's so horrible. Yeah, he had a lot of play, not just with Kat, but with like PAs and fans, and it was just ridiculous. I remember the finale, at my finale party, like some of my PAs, like some that I love and hold dear, they were just like, oh my God, I'm totally thinking about Nick. I was like, who? What? Yeah, what do you think? I'm like, no. Like, absolutely not.
It has to be that they had to be taken away out of society. I feel like to find Nick attractive, you'd have to be in a Big Brother situation. Everything that's good and great and options would have to be taken away from you. And then when nothing else is left, it's like the last man on earth theory. And then you're like, nah, I guess I could have sex with that. Like, that's the only way I can imagine Nick could
And these were very beautiful girls that had options, like options.
So sad,
But
Jess.
but it's the same thing with, look, there's like, this is why I say like, nobody should be self-conscious about themselves. Like, there is someone for everyone, honestly. Like, I just like some people would look at me and be like, wow, like she got that. Or like, I mean, there are people, you know, who can't stand. I mean, no, my friends don't. And a lot of people don't, but I still get the hate. I still get that. Like, there are people that think that I'm like, I don't know, glorifying or obesity, that like I'm absolutely disgusting in their eyes. There are people, some people will find you disgusting, and some people will find you like the hottest shit on earth. And so like, I can't, I mean, as much as I don't understand it, you know, because I feel like if you're not that good looking, or not good looking, but I'm just saying, like, if you're not the hottest shit on earth, then you at least have to have an amazing personality. Be a great human. Like, maybe it's like the beautiful inside seeps outside, and it just makes you that much, you know, more attractive. In this case, I'm trying to understand that.
Because he didn't have it anywhere. Like, person, it's fine. You don't got to be gorgeous. I'm not a model over here, but I have a lot of charisma.
Look, he was good. I would say like he was good to people that he wanted to be good to.
Oh, okay.
You know, like, so maybe some people.
So with your PAs, when you're in jury, are you guys able to like mess around with them, joke? Like, you have inside jokes, obviously, because you guys are together all the time.
Absolutely. Like, some of us get really close to those PAs. For me, like, that's who I hung out with the most. I didn't hang out with the crew, that's for sure. Like, unless it was just like the day, you don't get to drink every day. So, you know, there were certain days that you could not drink. So, and it was only like 2 beers a piece or 2 glasses of wine a piece, and that's it. So we would have our moments. But, you know, oddly enough, even in the jury house, we would eat dinner together every day. It was like some type of, we were just an odd family.
Yeah. Well, you're so used to it. You're so used to kind of being together. And so it's almost like dysfunctional, but yeah, well, that's what we do. We get together. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you don't care, like if you like absolutely can't stand your sister or your brother or gosh, even your father, one of your mothers, like at a moment and you're still having fun with them. It's like, it's very, very similar. It's like, I really can't stand you right now, but we're going to have this family dinner right now. We're just going to sit down and eat. And
oh my gosh. That's so true.
So odd. I've never experienced something like that in my life.
I've had this question up for a while. Okay. So who would you have voted for? Jessica, if Holly and Nicole A were in the final two and Mickey was not a factor, which would have been so great to have the two ladies in the final two instead.
Yeah, it would have been. To be quite honest, knowing what I know now, if I would have known anything of what I know now, I probably would have said Holly. Still, I would have voted for Holly. Even though Nicole at that point obviously was my ally and whatnot. I think it would have had to come down to those final questions. And you don't understand like how important those final questions are. You want to get an understanding of why they did it. I'll just say like, I got a lot of shit for what I speculated on Nicole Anthony. And it was mainly because I seriously thought she was pulling a Dan Gieslin on me. I did. I thought I was being played. And look, I ended up confirming in jury. Nick told me that he knew I was trying to backdoor him. I would never have backdoored him.
He's not worthy of a backdoor.
Because Nicole told him that I was going to backdoor him. Nicole, there were a lot of things that Nicole did that actually kind of ruined my game. So, or prevented me from getting closer to the people that I kind of wanted to get closer to.
Well, coming off this season, I think that a lot of the things you saw as a house guest and things that you were worried about were things we all saw from Nicole Anthony's game in All-Star. So we can totally understand. I think a lot of us were clouded because we just wanted to have something good, and they created this narrative of the unicorn princess here to save it all. But then when we watched her play a second time, I think it was similar things. It was, allowing these guys to run her game and kind of outing and blowing up her true allies game. So I think that it's too bad that you had to get so much hate for that, because if anything, you experienced it. That's what you saw. That was your reality. You know?
I mean, and the thing was, it's like, I wanted it to be true. I was like, if Nicole did this and because I knew that Nicole was playing both sides, that moment in the HOH where everybody was saying it was a bully situation, all of that stuff, I knew what was happening. And I knew that Nicole was had purposely told those two groups different things. At that moment, I didn't know it was an 8 alliance. I honestly thought it was Sam, Bella, and Nick, and then it was the other 6. So I knew it was like I thought it was 6 and 3, but that obviously they kind of like somehow coexisted in some way, shape, or form. Nicole was trying to kind of play both sides, trying to figure out where she was supposed to go. I knew at that point that she was all over the place. At that point, like, I didn't know how to feel about her, because I was like if I knew she was doing this, I don't know what she was doing with me. I don't know what our relationship was going to look like. You tell me that Bella threw us under the bus. I'm on the block because Bella, outed the Black Widows, but here you are chummy with Bella and you're hanging out with Nick, but you're telling me not to trust Nick, but you're best friends with Nick. So it's like all of these all of these weird things. So in the jury, I honestly thought like that she had this like maniacal plan of like how things were going to work. And so I wanted to hear her say that she was the mole, that she was that she was trying to get everybody out, that she had like this plan. And then watching the season and watching her gameplay and watching all of these other things, it was like, no, she was just like a really nice person and just wanted to tell people when she felt that things were not nice, which is still a great thing because she's an amazing girl like that. Like, she's just very sweet. But that kind of goes to show that when you, a friend to everybody is a friend to no one. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you now like literally sabotaged absolutely everybody's game, and not because it was like intentional, but because you're just such an amazing person. And as someone who loves her and wants to have a personal relationship with her, was amazing. But I'm here trying to be honest and like, but try to be careful with my words and saying like, because I don't know what to say, because they're going to say it to like somebody else. And like, I don't know, you know, so this is how I was playing, trying to be very careful. And here she is just like divulging all of this information and saying, oh, I could be shooting myself in the foot, but you know, and more than likely it just shot me in the foot.
Yeah.
I don't know. My husband just like pinched me.
That was so sweet.
He's giving me those googly eyes.
Is he like, get off? It's time for us to have some alone time.
No.
Yeah, no, I just like, it's so interesting because seeing where, you know, I think exactly what you said in the beginning of this. I think Nicole, unfortunately, going back in this game, she left it on such a high, and you can only go down from there. But look at Janelle. Janelle's been on, this is her 4th time and she never went down. So I think there's a way to not go down, but I just think, again, no one from BB21 should have returned. It was just too soon. Now, some people are asking some petty question, but I'm all for a petty, but you can always pass, Jess. Did Christy's chewing drive you crazy? Like all of us crazy?
No, actually I didn't even, to be quite honest, I didn't even realize it like that. But then I wasn't around Christy quite as much while she was eating as people probably think I was. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, well, it's because we're watching it and it was like, and then we already didn't like Christy. Like she was another one similar to a Christmas where you see her and you're like, oh, I'm going to like her. I'm going to like her because she's all talking about like, I'm powerful, I'm a feminist, I'm this, I'm that. And then she was the exact opposite in the way she played. And I saw her on live like a month ago and say, no, they would never have me back because of this. And I would want a powerful woman thing. And I'm like, girl, when were you a powerful woman thing? You were Aqua Douche's right-hand gal. Like you went against your own best interest to play for these dudes. So it's interesting what players leaving the game, they still aren't able to see. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's one of those things where it reminds me, okay, not that I'm comparing Devon and Holly at all, but it was just like one of the things that I understood from Devon when she was saying of like not being herself or trying to, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was more so like having to not be who she is in order to get further in the game, right? Not being that outspoken, woman that she is, calling a spade, doing the things that would typically as her own self be comfortable to her. And she's like, I'm being true to myself, something that people loved her for. Right. And knowing that she did she hid that and suppressed that in order to get further in the game and then kind of lost herself in the process. I really understood that because I was a lot less opinionated in that house because I didn't know what to say that was gonna, keep me. I felt like there was already kind of a little bit of a bias toward me, and I was trying to play it very safe. I looked at Holly thinking, wow, how amazing that she could just be that quiet and let him play for that long and kind of reel him in when she needed to and move him around when she needed to. That's the Holly that I thought was playing the game. And that's why I voted for her to win, because I honestly think that is a strength for you to be silent when you need, like silence is a strength at times, and it's very hard for you to play that type of game in a house like that for that long, if that's not the person that you are,
I can see the vote for Holly. I mean, if anything, Jackson, I feel like a lot of allowances were made for him. He had cheated during the game, during slop and being a have-not. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know if you can say, but does anyone ever say why? I might have asked you this before, but why all of a sudden it just disappeared once he was eating out of the garbage and eating out of the shower? No one addressed it. Of like, obviously we see these house guests struggle. I mean, Nicole Anthony struggled a lot being a have-not. Cody, they won't even put him back on it this season because they're like, he almost died. But Jerkson can't handle it for like a day and he's cheating, and then they just got rid of it for your entire season. Do they tell you when they do that stuff, or you
no? Absolutely not. I had no idea. A lot of the allowances and the things that happen in the house, some of us had no idea of. Like, I mean, some did. Obviously, there's videos of people talking, kind of knowing what's going on, right? I mean, going in, I kind of knew that he was in trouble. I knew that he was getting called in a lot. I knew at some points I kind of felt like maybe he was using production as a game, as a strategy, you know. But usually when that happens, like, you will get Dom over the intercom and it'll say, "Stop using production as a strategy."
Really?
Like, that is an actual button. Yeah.
We never hear that. That's amazing.
that button does exist.
So Bob was like, "Stop using production as a strategy."
Yeah.
What did you guys think when all of a sudden you're like, I guess have-nots are over? Did you just think, I guess it's done?
Yeah, we're just like, because it ended on my HOH. Like, I was here thinking that I was gonna, you know, it ended with my last time on slop. I was on slop, then I won HOH, and I was here thinking that I was gonna, you know, have to nominate people.
Yeah.
And so crazy thing is that Mickey actually told me, "Hey, I'm volunteering to go up for Holly. So if Holly wants to go, like, I totally take her place." And I'm thinking in my head, there's no way in hell, no way in absolute ever loving hell, if that's what you love, like, I'm never gonna do it. That was a hell no for me.
Yeah.
Like, him on slop was the worst. And then to find out of whatever happened, I was just like, that's impossible, because he was absolutely insanely annoying during slop. Like, how is it that wasn't even?
Well, that's the times I think that he would be the most awful to like Kat and talk to her just horribly when well, he did anyways, I guess, so it doesn't. But I mean, like, slop would just add to that, which so crazy. Now we'll get to a little bit, we can close with strategy of what you think going forward, as a former player, what these players should do. But quick question. So as far as, you know, you and Kemi have a show together. I love what I loved about All Stars is that you get the behind the scenes tea. And so they're talking about who they know, that's how I found out that James Ryan was like with a lot of the ladies. But then I saw James on your live, and we had Howie over here, and he was like, he outed it too. He was like, I was apparently on some show where James Ryan was a serial dater. And then Janelle outed him as dating all these Big Brother people. But then I saw James. I was like, James cute. Like, he is a good looking dude.
He was I mean, he's still a very good looking, you know, guy, obviously.
More good looking now than he was before.
He was, and he showed us a few of his model pictures. So if you all, you know, if y'all care to Google that, you can always write, you know, James Ryan model. Yeah, he was. You'll see some shirtless photos of him looking like he belongs on like some type of show.
Oh dang!
Like, yeah, he looked like he belonged on Love Island or something.
Well, he's like 7 feet tall or something. Whenever I see his social media, I'm like, oh my God, he's got legs for days, that James Ryan. I like to hear the behind the scenes stuff, and feel free to like pass. You don't have to answer anything. But who you still talk to? Obviously, Kemi. You and Kemi are very close. When you and I last, I loved when you were describing your friendship as like, you know, sometimes she'll tell you stuff you don't want to hear. Sometimes you'll tell her, like, you almost like that's where girl agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
Came from, because you don't have to see the same side of the coin with friends. Like, I have Busy Blue, we do podcasts, and we always see things very differently, but I love that because I learned.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing thing when you are such a complete opposite of a friend. You know, they they provide so much insight. And then the thing with Kemi and I think, is like in the house, it just was not meant to be, you know, like she openly says it. She didn't trust me, you know, she didn't trust me or shit. Like it was never going to work. So if anybody ever like was to say, oh, they could have made it work, like Kemi and I would have never made it work. But one of the things that we did kind of agree on in some things was what was kind of happening in the house, like not political views, but just kind of like the politics of it. And, you know, we talked a lot about just like race and now obviously being outside of the house, we've become each other's, that's like therapy, but like, I understand how insanely unfair she's had it. And so, I'm one of the few people that she can stand on my season. I feel very blessed.
I imagine it's you and Ovi, and that's it. I can't think of who else was likable to her, who treated her well. I don't think any of them besides you and Ovi deserve her friendship.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably agree with you. But here's the thing, like, and this is what I love her so much for, because she's made me really understand what she considers a friend. And it's like, you don't have to, for me, I typically consider you a friend unless you're a complete enemy. You know what I mean? Unless I just can't absolutely stand the sight of you, or more than likely, I would probably say, yeah, we're friends, we're friendly, whatever. You know, for her, it's like, if you don't contribute to my life, or, you know, then she takes that a little bit more to heart. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, simple example, like if you don't have, like for her, it's like, if you don't have my phone number, you're not my friend. Like, if you can't get in contact with me, like, if it doesn't matter if you can find me on Instagram, if you don't have me, if you could chat me all you want on Twitter or Instagram DMs, but if you don't physically have my phone number and we have not had a conversation, more than likely you're not my friend. And why should I be friends with someone who I was obligated to live in a house with, and you didn't even like, you know, because everybody's like, well, you guys should be friends. But it's like, we weren't in that house to be friends. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have to be friends with everybody in that house. We all shared certain things together. So in that way, I will try and be as respectful as possible to everybody in that house, you know, because we all went through it, whether some definitely more than others, and other people who want to think that, you know, that they had it really bad when they didn't. But, you know, like, it is what it is. I mean, and so really the only people that I've actually physically talked to is Kat and Kemi, and then Ovi, like, I'll video, like, we'll text every once in a while, like other people will text, you know, but there's no daily exchange. There's no weekly exchange. There's obviously, like, just I'm in a different place.
Because we saw you were friends with Christy leaving the show, or you know, friendly. Is that a relationship you've kept up, or is that kind of just
well, here's the thing, like, COVID happened, right? So like, it's with Christy and Tami, so to speak, it's been when I traveled to New York or Jersey, because I was working as a model, and I would do that, and then I'd go hang out with them, and and we would do that. But in terms of actually physically over the phone, I don't think I've had one actual conversation with her over the phone. Everybody else, like if it was like Annalise or Holly or anybody else, it might have been like a DM, you know, on Instagram. We might comment on each other's messages, whatever the case. But again, like, love that's there, but like love from very far away. Nothing that it's like, oh my God, you're my bestie. And that's just because at this point in time, like, I would say, like, Kemi's like, my number one, and like Kat's very close to follow. And it's just like, you can't have that many, you know, relationships. I have a husband, I have a daughter, I have like
busy
7 best friends, I have a job. Like there's all these things. A sister that gets mad when I don't talk to her, you know.
I love your siblings.
Yeah.
I DM your siblings.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't even, I just want to say, it's not that I'm not friends with them. Like, seriously, I haven't talked to Javi in like 3 weeks. Oh, so really? It's like, so if I don't talk to my own brother, like Joleen, you probably talked to my brother first than I have. Like, I haven't talked to him in almost 3 weeks. So I'm just not that girl. Like, even though I'm very, I don't know, I'm very personable. But yeah, that's how you saw me in the house. I'm very like to myself, like I pop in, hang out for a little bit, and then I dip out. Like, you know,
and that's like kind of how I am. I assume like you don't talk to Sam. I mean, I wouldn't talk.
No, there are definitely people that I don't talk to. So, and like really the only people that like I've never like had conversations with since leaving the house have been Mickey Jack. Or Jack Jackson, or I don't know if you guys call him Mickey or Jackson. I know it gets confusing, but Jack, Jackson, and Bella. Those are the 3 that I have never like even said a word to. You know what I mean? I haven't talked to, I don't talk to Sam, but I'm not like opposed to it. If he ever messaged me and asked me a question, I wouldn't be like, why the fuck you messaging me? Oh, I'm sorry. Like, why are you talking to me? You know, the last time I talked to Nick, we had a falling out of sorts. I called him, we had a few choice words and he apologized and called
it. He's a racist, so I don't blame you for not wanting to be his friend. So, and there you go. That's my opinion, not Jess's.
Yeah.
Darling is saying, we saw you meet up with Christy and Caitlin. So you talking to Caitlin because she really talked you up on the show. I don't know what that is in regards to. Is that you? Me?
No.
So
I haven't talked to Kate. I haven't talked to the first time I saw Caitlin was she actually came to the hotel where we were at after finale. And I saw her in Vegas, and that's the last time. And then we, again, we follow each other on Instagram and whatnot. But like to say that I like physically talked to her, I think the first person that I ever talked to over the phone to even talk about my experience was Rockstar. And we ended up having like a 3-hour conversation. And that woman is like, she's so amazing. And I think that I have more in common with Rockstar than I do with absolutely any other house guest that I've ever encountered. And that's just because she's a real one. Like she definitely, like, she understands it. We're practically the same age. Rockstar and I, we have children. We understand like what, how we were edited and seen on Big Brother, and wanting to go back and kind of feel that sense of like vindication and just, changing things up. And then also having friends that are way into the appearance of things versus, and then, I don't want to sound, I don't know, because I feel like that's kind of talking down on them. But, like, I mean, some people just, I'm really behind the scenes, right? Like, if I talk to them, like, you all don't know, like, I'm not taking pictures with Rockstar and putting it up on my Instagram, being like, oh, I'm with Rockstar today. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a difference between we have the conversations.
Yeah, it's a difference between those of you who leave the show, but you have a real life outside of this and career, than those people that are using it to, I mean, everyone in a certain extent, yeah, it can boost, whatever your business is, but you have a real life, you have a husband, you have a family, you have a daughter, you have, you had a career long before this. So it doesn't define you, where some of these people, this is all they have. So it defines them and they become immersed in it. My World is saying, question for Jessica, what was your major setback when you were HOH in your season?
My major, God, I feel like I had a pretty flawless
It was flawless.
I couldn't really say I had a setback, because people would say that I got the wrong person out. They probably would say like I needed to get out Mickey instead of Jack, but I don't see it that way. I feel like Jack really had himself cemented in with at least 4 versus, you know, Mickey, who was like kind of out of the game. And like I knew that Kristi really did despise him in a way, you know, so I knew that it would be a little bit harder to get that core group together if I got Jack out, because he was totally after me. I was like the only person who he didn't offer anything up to. He was just such a condescending prick. So like I couldn't in my right mind like keep him knowing that he would be after me. But I would probably say Nick, it was really upsetting. Like my setback was, who knows, was probably not trying to work things out with Nick the way Nicole wanted me to, because in her mind, she wanted me to mend the relationship that I feel like she kind of ruined. She kind of like ruined it in the beginning for me and then wanted me to mend it. And I'm like the type that I'm not that adaptable. Like if I don't like you, it's going to take me a while to like you again. And so I will be respectful, but I will still be like, hell no, am I going to be able to work with you? So that was my setback, to kind of try to solidify and like kiss Nick's, you know, butt, so to speak, to get him to a point where he'd want to work with me versus working with Kristi. And because I could have seen, had I been that girl, been able to kind of direct that and put more of that target on Kristi, because they had a very rocky relationship as well. And I knew he wanted to kind of get into that, like as like a little slithery snake that wanted to kind of get and be the next Jack of that group. And I knew that. So that was kind of, but not setback. But I don't think that was like a setback.
That's good. Yeah, I think you made the right decision, because in my opinion, as a viewer, it appeared that if production wasn't working so hard for Jerkson, he wouldn't have gotten as far as he would. And I think Jack would have it would have played out the same way. I think maybe production would have worked a little less hard for Jack, but we didn't know that at the time. So getting out either one of those is the biggest move of the season. And it was a week where us fans could just be like, thank God. Like we had Jack eviction parties. We were just so excited that this douche was going on.
I didn't know that was such a thing. Like I just thought people would make big moves. That's what this show is about. Like make the move. I didn't know up until this season that was such a hard thing for people to do, because I feel like you can still make a big move and still be strategic. And I don't know.
Yeah, I bet you now watching All Stars, you're just like, okay, you guys are All Stars, but I made a big move. Because you see these, like this season was just jam-packed with, like we talked about earlier, just these powerful women. But then they, you know, wiped out anybody that would have a mind to go against the guys. And this alpha, I mean, the pre-gaming has a huge thing to deal with it, or to do with it. But, you know, you're like, invite me back, big brother. I'm ready. They, you know, if they do a returner season, I assume you would do it.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you don't really say no to that unless you really have things that you cannot, you know, work around. I feel like it's a lot harder now knowing that I know some people. So if it's like an all players returning season, it's really, I understand why it's so hard for some. It's just a hard thing to grasp, but I'm always, you know, I'm down for it.
Put it in the universe. Also, Cody. Now, Jess got so much shit for the use of the word like, and Jess has explained it to me and explained it that in the moment, your first time on, you know, this kind of platform and stuff, and you're also like dealing with lies and manipulation. You were trying to think while you were speaking, so it becomes filler words. Now, Cody can't have that same excuse because he's done this before, and Daddy Derek wrote the script. Did Daddy Derek write like that many times? But let me just say, people have asked me, who says like more, Cody or Jess. I said, well, I've talked to Jess in real life multiple times, and she doesn't use like
it's the word, right? Isn't it so? Now you know that I would be telling you the truth, because
yes,
you would have heard a ton of likes in multiple conversations. Even in I would not have had a podcast had I just been saying like all the time. Honestly, you say it because it's just a filler. I use it as a filler word. I didn't know what to say. There was a lot of things going in my mind. And quite honestly, I can't even watch myself on the show because I was just about as upset or bothered or annoyed as everybody else on the season, just listening to myself talk. So like, if you want me to go away and you can't stand me for that reason, then I totally give you that pass. I mean, you didn't ask me for it, but yeah, I totally understand. I wouldn't like me either, to be quite honest. My sister didn't like me. She's like, what the fuck? Who the hell was playing Jessica? Like, who is this version that I was watching on TV? My sister is very blunt. And it was like, okay, well, that was me. And I get it. I just didn't know what to say. Like, these people were just, I'm not used to being around people like this, and not people in general. I'm used to being around people, just not people like them. And it was very eye-opening, it's just like, wow. So I can't say this to that person, obviously. So, okay, I know this person talks to this person and that person. So I don't, but there were also times in edits where I caught it and I was like, I did not say like that many fucking times. At times I did, yes, but not in certain conversations where I know they added it more than usual. I feel like they did.
Ongoing joke where Cody, I watch the feeds religiously, and Cody is like he can't get through a sentence without 8 likes, and there are 2 words in the sentence. So I don't know what's going on Cody, but it's pretty ridiculous. So yes,
kind of similar as Enzo's yos, because I mean, like, he yos a lot.
He yos, right?
It's a lot of yos. It's definitely a lot of yos.
It's just so much. So at this point of the game, what are your predictions going forward? What do you think is going to happen this week? Even though things could change, but it looks like Tyler's going to be the one going, and that Cody obviously is not going to use the power of veto. But what do you think going forward? Who has the best chance of being in Final 3? Who are the next boots?
This is going to be, it's a little... It can go a lot of ways, right? So I do think that Tyler will more than likely leave, because as we know, what Nicole wants is basically what Nicole gets. And I'm the fact that she has that power gives me a lot of really gives her respect on my end as a player, because as a person, although she could be very whiny and victimizing and whatnot, I will never take away from the fact that I feel like she's playing a very good game. However she decides she's playing it, she has been able, I mean, look, for her to have been up as a former winner and on a triple eviction and not get taken out is insane to me. The fact that she still has people's ears, it's insane. It's really insane to me that she can still puppet and manipulate people in the way that I feel that she's been able to do. Actually, quite to a better extent than Danny has, to be quite honest. Is she knows how to play up, she knows what she can do to play up the fact. And she's been very relentless on knowing what does not serve her game. That being said, if she does make it to Final 2, it looks like Enzo, Cody, and Nicole may be a good Final 3. I think I honestly see Enzo at a Final 2 spot regardless. he has patted himself so well on so many sides. I just don't see him winning. Because he hasn't made the big moves. He just hasn't, and honestly has gotten me very upset with not choosing to keep David. Because I feel like David was one that he had in his pocket. He really could have, like, he could have gotten rid of Nicole. Hindsight, though, I see why he didn't. I didn't know that Tyler wasn't. I honestly thought that Tyler was closer to Enzo than what I am now finding out he is. Enzo's a little bit too much talk for me. It's just like, wow, guy, where's your head? I don't know. But then again, he's not talking. This is where I'm biased. It's like he's not talking up to the cameras to kind of really tell them what he really thinks. And so
he is a little. I just don't get why he's coming at us going, I'd make a big move. Yo, 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 when you had the chance and then you did it. So why don't you just say, I'm not here to make a big move. I'm here to get to the end, yo. That's fine, yo. There you go, yo. But the fact that he built it up like he was going to do something, then he didn't, it just makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, Cody seems like he's really in a really good place too. But right now, the idea, like, I think that Christmas, I kind of want her to stay, as crazy as that sounds, just because she's the only person who's talked about putting Cody up. And I think she's the only person who's actually now starting to get that this guy needs to be taken out. The fact that I'm so proud of her for looking at Cody rather than Nicole is almost like, wow, she's like maturing. Given that she's a 39-year-old woman, but she's maturing, you know, it's like in front of our eyes, she's like starting to get it, you know? So that's the only reason I'd want, but at this point, I just don't care because I really don't like any of them.
Neither.
So I would be okay with any of them going, and I would be okay with any of them winning because for some strange reason, they're kind of all the same. I'd probably say that Cody kind of deserves it more because he's kind of been playing.
So hard to say because they're all so awful with the pregame.
Yeah, he's kind of been playing it, but then Memphis has also been playing his cards really well, but they're both douchebags. So it's kind of, it's like, well, what do I got to work with here?
I know. We have nothing.
We have nobody to root. We have nobody to root for because one person says one thing and we're just like, oh, I can't wait until it bites him back in jury. But then the person that could be in the final two of them does the exact same thing. And it's like, I can't wait until that bites them back in jury. So it's like,
it's such a crazy season of just like, wow, our faves got wiped out. Who are you going to vote for America's favorite player? Are you going to vote?
Yeah, I definitely probably will vote, and more than likely my vote will be Davon. And and here's the thing, like I love Janelle. Janelle, don't get me wrong. And so I don't want this to be my vote for one person is a vote against another person because it's not what I'm trying to do. I love Kaysar. I would love for Kaysar. I would be happy if Kaysar won, you know, America's favorite. Yes. But I feel that it would speak volumes to have someone like Davon for Davon to win. And I think being a favorite player doesn't necessarily mean the game play, but like everybody there is a player. And it's really who happens to be your favorite, you know? So and right now, since Dave's been gone, it's just
it's so boring.
It's been pretty bad, and I'm just watching it because I have to, I guess.
Me too. That's how I feel. I've made a commitment, and I do love the show. And I understand you on the Christmas thing because I want her to go because I just dislike her. But also part of me is like, she's going to continue to lose it, and it's, you know, it might be the only entertaining thing we have is her in front of the cameras going, hi guys, I love you fans, I love you. Because being, you know, that delusional to think that we're out there going, yeah, get it, girl. And I also don't want, you know, the last couple days to just be a bunch of dudes going, bro, yo, NFL, bro, yo, NFL, bro, yo, coaching NFL, bro, yo. I can't. It's so boring. I can go talk to my brother and my dad and my husband about that shit if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, no, thank you.
But it's also, man, it's a rough one. I'd have to say it's been pretty rough. I would love, no.
That's how I feel. People have asked me, and I'm like, well, oh no, not that person. Yeah. Right now, what this season deserves is freaking Christmas Nicole Final 2. Like, seriously, like, give it, like, whatever.
You're giving us impossible scenarios.
I know.
Which one is the one where it's like which one's that scenario where you're trying to figure out like who you would kill, like if you were in a train? No. If you were like on a train and you were the conductor and you had to go one or the other way and one kills one person, but if you turn it around, one could kill like 5 or 6 people, but then make that one person like your brother or your sister or someone related to you. Would you kill the 5 people, or would you go? Have you ever heard that scenario?
No, this sounds
scenario. Gosh, someone help me out. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Because it is like a psychological. It's it kind of shows kind of where your head's at in the game.
Trolley problem? Is that what it's called?
Huh?
The trolley problem?
It is. Yeah, it's a trolley problem. It's kind of like you're in a trolley and it's like, you know, oh gosh, I forget what it is. But that's kind of like how I feel. I feel like nobody deserves to win. So it's like if I wanted one, I wanted more than one to win. I was rooting for a lot more than half the cast in the beginning of the season.
Me too.
I was I see people say, yeah, I've heard that, and I need to know exactly.
I Googled it, and it says the trolley problem is a series of thought experiments in ethics and psychology involving stylized ethical dilemmas of whether to sacrifice one person to save a large number. Opinions on the ethics, blah, blah, blah scenario. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's a runaway trolley barreling down the railway tracks. Ahead on the tracks, there are 5 people tied up and unable to move. The trolley is headed straight for them. You are standing some distance off in the train yard next to a lever. Ooh, this is getting good. If you pull this lever, the trolley will switch to a different set of tracks. However, you notice that there is one person on the side of the track. You have 2 options. 1, do nothing and allow the trolley to kill the 5 people on the main track. Or 2, pull the lever, diverting the trolley onto the side track where it will kill 1 person. Which is the more ethical option? Or simply, what is the right thing to do? Do you let the 5 die or the 1? They're already going to kill the 5, but there's 1 if you pull the lever.
Yeah. So the question is, in this scenario, are they the last 5 people that are going to be here at the end? Are those 5 people the final 5 that we're going to see next week?
I would put everyone in the house on the tracks. I would pick that person up because what are we at final 5 or are we at final 6?
I mean, we're at 6 right now. Okay. Yeah, we're at 6 right now, but that's next week. Once Tyler's gone,
Right now, I would take the person on the 1 side, throw him with the 5 because that's the house guest, and let the train kill them all. That's what I would do for which 22. But I see what you're saying.
That's how I feel. It's like there's no good. It's like the winner are these other 5 players, but who's the that's how I feel. I just like there's no good answer. It's like who out of these do you want to win? Mm-hmm. Honestly, I feel I actually would have preferred Tyler. I mean, I know that he's not a popular.
Well, none of them are.
But at this point, I found myself more so trying to root for Tyler, who just happens now to be the underdog in this situation.
So weird. Tyler, an underdog, Mr. Handed final twos, and that's only because Tyler has such a privilege. He made himself an underdog. It was by all, he had Christmas tied around his finger. Like Christmas was on board since day 2, but with all the wanting to quit, Christmas saw herself venturing over toward Memphis because she just so respects the game and doesn't like a quitter. And, you know, Bob CrossFit taught her about the CrossFit way. And it's like, you never give up. So I don't know, Jess. I understand, because I think a lot of people didn't want Tyler to go because they thought, all right, he became the underdog. And Tyler has been, you know, you either love him or you hate him. And he did have a lot of love. And Tyler's another one coming back maybe wasn't the best choice. Had he aligned with the right people, had he worked with Bailey and Davon and David, just think how amazing Tyler's legacy would be. And they would have taken out these alphas. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's the idea that some of the ones that have been out did not see that coming.
How did they not see that after BB21, what it would look like for all these white people to align and pick people of color one by one, week after week after week?
They don't. And that's the thing. It's like, I mean, a lot of them are not, obviously, a lot of people, you don't want to play the game thinking about what, you know, what people are going to think of you outside of the game. Yeah. I think this is a perfect example. They've been playing not thinking about how others were going to view their game.
It's just crazy because in 2020, and especially you have good people to choose from, they could have worked with Bailey and Davon. They really could have. But the fact that whatever their biases had them believing that they're too comfortable, they're too this, they're too that, when Christmas was so comfortable, she offered herself up as a replacement nom. But when you see the 2 black women say that, it's like, uh-oh. So it's just, I mean, not much has changed.
I haven't checked. Do we know who won the veto?
Cody.
Oh, goddamn.
I know. He won the veto. So now it looks as though it's tie. And here's another thing with Nicole's strategy. She does need Tyler gone more than she needs Christmas gone. She needs Christmas gone for a personal thing because Christmas did vote against her. But Tyler put her on the block, and Tyler said right to her face he wouldn't, and put her on the block. So she knows Tyler's coming for her. So it's a smart move for her to try to talk Cody into Tyler.
Not a smart play, in my personal opinion, for Cody. I feel that really Cody should be thinking about Christmas. And to be quite honest, the idea that you're not going to get rid of, you know, your final three's other final 3.
Yeah, because he knows about the wise guys with Christmas. Because of Enzo. At
this point, I'm like, and I know that probably within the next week, if Cody stays or if Memphis is on the block, I can see Cody talking to Memphis and telling him that maybe that Enzo, he knows about the wise guys, and that Menzo, like, maybe throw Enzo under the bus and say he's not as, you know, he's not as loyal as you think he is. I know that you've all had, you know, this final 3 with both of us, and I decided not to get rid of Christmas because I trust you as a final, you know, 4, and then kind of like maybe make sure he has, you know, kind of cushion to make sure that he knows that Memphis would pick him.
That's very interesting. I wonder if South Jersey versus North Jersey, will he sell him out? Because it seems like these two, Cody just, I mean, he loves Enzo. He would marry Enzo if Christy was out of the picture.
Yeah,
he's just like
very loyal. Like, he's a loyal guy. So it'd be very interesting to see if he would. I mean, obviously you take Enzo. I feel like you would take Enzo because Enzo just doesn't have the resume.
But does he have the personality and the jury management to win against people who are mad about the way Cody played them, or, you know, wouldn't play with them?
They're going to have to, like,
it's interesting.
Some numbers. Crunch those numbers.
crunch those numbers. Like King Cash says, if you have Tyler on the block, you always take him out. And that's something Danny had to learn the hard way. Even though you were like, just kidding, we're going to take you off. Like, oh, big mistake. Right, my hair, like, you'll love me. And Tyler's like, no, he put that in his spiral perm hair. He locked it up next to a picture of Angela. And he was like, I'm coming for you. So Danny and Nicole should be not surprised at all that Ty went for them because you put him up.
Yeah, I just don't see how Tyler doesn't, or like how Cody doesn't see Christmas staying as a bad thing for him. You know what I mean? It's Christmas is the only Christmas is the only one he's put up. Christmas wins. Like, he's a definite shoe in to go, probably next to Nicole. If you know, sure. you know Enzo's padded in every which way. You know,
I do think there might be a little bit of distrust now between Enzo and Christmas, though, even though they have this secondary wise guys final three with Memphis because of his vote when he didn't vote out Nicole. So she felt as though her and Tyler were exposed. And if Enzo would have just done what he was supposed to do, they wouldn't be in this situation. So maybe
that's true.
Christmas will come for Enzo, but I do think they got to take Tyler because Tyler will win at the end. He will pull it through somehow. Those curls are magical. He will just make it happen. His mommy, Allison Grodner, will make it happen. Kevin, thank you for the super sticker. Have you seen that joke online that everyone thinks Allison Grodner is?
Yeah, I have. And for a quick second, I was like, wait, is it? That makes so much sense now.
They look related. They look related. And there's been so many interesting, God, Jess, I always do this to you. I'm sorry. I just could talk to you forever because you're so fun.
Oh, no, of course. It's because we love each other so much.
I just adore you. And there was lots of comments like when Allison or Rich were going to show up. And then when Memphis what was he called out for? And he goes, no, Rich said it was okay if he kind of pressed David more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that he could intimidate.
Yes. Now, do Rich and Allison come? Do you see them while you're filming? Do they show up on Thursdays like, hey, guys?
No, you don't see anybody. But obviously, like, we have what we call like the BB gods that speak through the speakers. And so there's always, sometimes.
Yeah, they might talk.
Yeah, sometimes they might talk, like, especially like if we're doing, what is it? Like during live evictions, we'll have, what are they called? Oh gosh, I keep on forgetting what it's called. So, we'll not like practice, but we'll have because our runs and stuff.
Yeah, you have to run through it because it's TV, and you got to be like, "Here's how the game works." We don't have time to explain it to you.
Like where we're going to be sitting and doing stuff like that. Yeah, so that so at times like that, if we do get explained the rules of the game, prior to playing them. So it's not the same as you all seeing it. We actually get talked through it because we'll be like, wait, but can we do this? But can we do that? So we do go through like certain things.
That's the television magic.
Yeah, that's TV magic. Yeah, that's TV magic for you. So like obviously, but for the most part, no, we don't see anybody. I feel like they are very good at keeping their distance until maybe they need to like come in to.
Did you guys have any wall yellers?
We had one.
What did they yell?
That Christy and Tami knew each other.
Oh yes, that's what it was. Now, I don't remember. Did you guys believe them?
We didn't know. We didn't know. We were in the back. The only two that were in the back were Nicole and Cliff. And it was the only people that were in the back were Nicole, Cliff, and Tami.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the wall yeller happened, and it was during the time that Annalise and Christy were on the block.
Yes, because I remember there was talk and then they cut the feed. So like you're not allowed to talk because they won't want to talk about the wall yellers. But that's so interesting. But
yeah,
I'm sure
and they decided not to tell us. So they knew what was said. but they were very big on like, hey, you know, we respect the game so much that we're not going to tell anybody what was said, because that just messes up the game. And
I bet that was Tommy's idea.
Actually, Cliff was very upset about it. Cliff was very distraught because, you know, he's a big gamer, and he's big on just the autonomy of the game and just like making sure that the game is played in all due fairness. Yeah. So he has so much respect.
I get it, but I'm also like, Cliff, you ruined something else. Like, come on, Cliff.
Yeah, that would have. I mean, and I don't know because I never talked to them about it. But knowing that information, then you would really make you understand a little bit more as to why Cliff couldn't get on the Tami train in the final fight. You know,
that does. That does, but then it's like, how much is Cliff really respecting the integrity of the game if he's using that information? It's impossible. So the fairness would be, this has happened, allow everyone else to have the same knowledge you have. So was Cliff doing it for righteous reasons, or was it really, you know, it's just me speculating, Jess, just me speculating.
And you could never, and you would never know, because you could say like, it's unethical to tell other people this and have the same bias, but then you're kind of on that side of the bias too. Is hard for you to ignore when, you know, when you're trying to make a deal with this person.
If you heard the amount of wall yellers this season, Jess, as a player, wouldn't you be like, come on, I believe it? Like, these people, or would you not?
At this point, me coming back as an all-star, I'd be like, wow, they fucking hate us. They really do. Like, I'd be like, they hate the shit out of us. Everybody's pissed off at this game. And more than likely I would start to believe it. And I would be very upset, because yard time is very important for us. And it I wouldn't put it past Christmas kind of acting kind of a little weird because she doesn't have yard time. You know what I mean? I seen it. I was a big believer in the fact that Mickey was acting the way he was acting, a little bit more aggressive than maybe usual, or I don't know, whatever that would mean. But because he wasn't able to work out every day. You know, some people have different coping mechanisms. You know what I mean? One person could like yoga every single day, and the one day they don't yoga, or the one day they don't meditate, or they go through their practice, is the one day they flip out, you know, if they're not centered or they feel like some sort of way. Some people cope by smoking weed, or, you know, or taking edibles, or, you know, to have that chill moment. Some people jam out to music, you know. It's one of those reasons some of us go just completely wacky, because 100 days without what you use to cope is it's a long time. Just something to think about. Not and I'm not giving anybody like the excuse of why they are, because you are who you are, and so you do things because that's who you are. But it is harder. It's like a more extreme version of yourself.
Yes, and they know what they're doing. That's the whole idea.
I don't know. It's just like any other addiction. Like if you were an alcoholic and you're trying to not drink, then you don't have alcohol anywhere around you. You're not in events or situations that are gonna, you know, put you in that position to drink. You may take up running, as a lot of people, you know, kind of take up running and other things to be able other hobbies and other highs and other things, their coping mechanisms to kind of get them, you know, to kind of get them through. And some people use liquor as that too. So, you know, we don't get to drink that much either. So there's like all of these different type of coping mechanisms that you don't have in that house. And I feel like a lot of people don't see, and people say it's about the game and the strategy, and it's not like personal, but so many of their so much personal stuff is involved in these decisions. And we will never even know because the way that they talk to each other, even when they're on lockdown during an HOH, like during a live show, we're sometimes on lockdown for 2 or 3 hours, you know, where you're not talking game. You're just talking about each other and getting to know each other. And sometimes that person you just don't like. It's like, I found out I didn't like Jack a long time ago before I even put him up. And it had nothing to do with game. It had all to do with his personal life and the stories he would tell that had nothing to do with game. It was just like, wow, dude, I really don't want to be judgy, but like, I would not be friends with you outside of this house, you know? And everybody has those type of stories, you know, and you can't take that out of the game. And that's why sometimes we don't know like why people are doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, and I think that does make perfect sense. And I think, there's so much that
all of a sudden you didn't see it in the live feeds and you didn't see it on the show, just one minute out of the other, Danny just couldn't stand Christmas. And it wasn't like I feel like I watched it, maybe I missed it, but there wasn't like a defining moment. Was there like a super defining moment?
Yeah, I think her reaction to Davon and Bailey and the way she flipped that story and that narrative, and to see her get that aggressive, I think Danny's cognizant enough to know, like, even though Danny did her own problematic shit throughout the house and microaggressions and stuff, I think she was like, oh crap, I don't want to be associated with that. And it was that switch that everyone was saying Christmas, she was going to turn, happened. And she saw this like aggro chick come out, and just this bully and this person who drives her car into other people's cars, you know, that woman came out. And so Danny was like, I'm not here for it. And Danny loves to find someone that she can be like, oh my God, look at that. So that Danny loves talking about people. She's one of those people. She loves to gossip. So she would be like, Cody, stay up with me. And just like, isn't Christmas crazy? Right? Like, she's so crazy. Let's talk about how crazy she is. She's like the craziest person I've ever met. Like, oh my God. So she loves it. She's loved that every season she's been on. She loves to just gossip about these people. But I think that was the moment, seeing how she treated Davon and Bailey and how respectful Bailey and Davon were to Christmas when Christmas did not deserve their respect. I think that slowly started to also, I was surprised that Danny and Christmas were in an alliance together, because I was like, there's no way these two women are going to. Christmas seems like the type that Danny would just tease, like would not like Christmas at all. She's not, like we said, self-aware. She's like, Daddy, accept me, to her lions. Like, did I do good, Daddy? And you're like, calm down. You're 39. You need to figure it out. Okay. We can't pat you on the back for everything you do in this house. And now she's dancing, and allegedly they're giving her Adderall. Who knows what's happening, but she's switching on and off. She's happy. She's sad. Dominique, it's Davon. Like, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with this chick.
I was like hoping like that today, like that this week I'd be like, ho, 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 Christmas gotta go, you know, like that's kind of what I wanted, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can't make it for personal reasons, because it's like, I can no longer make it for me, it's like nothing personal. It's like who I like, who I don't like, but I don't. At this point, give me anybody. To be quite honest, I would love to see. I wouldn't mind an Enzo win, except that because I like Enzo more than any of the others. However, I don't think that he necessarily deserves the win.
No,
he's not the best player. You know,
he's not. He's able to trick these people into believing that, like, his social game, because they find him so likable, which shows how important likability is. But as far as game wise, he's just such a disappointment with this whole. He ruined the triple. As a fan. He
did, and for no good reason, to be quite honest. Even if it was to be on Cody's good side, you don't keep your final two's ally. At this point, you don't. I don't see in a world where Enzo thinks it's a good idea to be in a final three with Nicole and Cody. That to me that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs right there.
Yes.
I don't think that that's something that
it's the same as Cliff thinking that Jerkson would pick him over Holly. Cody's not going to pick you over Nicole. There's a very, very low chance of that. So we're going to wrap it up. Jess, you've been fantastic. What do we have coming up on Girl Let's Agree to Disagree this week?
We I mean, I guess just a regular ass show. I don't know. I mean, we have our shows right after, right after Eviction. So given that we don't care who goes, I'm assuming that our show is really just going to be drinking and talking shit. It's kind of like what we've been doing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because we're not going to keep on going and talking about strategy. If that's your MO, watch Rob Has a Podcast. They're amazing at it. I listen to Rob Has a Podcast. I love Taryn and I love listening to their take on things. But I kind of just at this point, it's just like, okay, what they did, was it stupid? Was it not stupid? Let's discuss. And then you just kind of like, at some point you're just, so that's just kind of how we are. But, then we're really a lot more excited about Bachelorette starting on October 13th. And so that one's going to be really fun. And I feel like then we get to talk about like Crazy Claire and, all of the crazy things that she did and how it's going to switch to another Bachelorette. And that's exciting because now we get to talk shit about people we don't know, which is always great. Like, it's been a lot harder for me to talk shit about people I know, because I know that they're going to hear it. And it's like, well, was it talking shit if I knew you were going to watch it? Like, it's not really talking behind your back. Like, I knew you could see it at any point in time. It's not something that I didn't tell you in front of your face or that you don't know. So it's kind of, it's a little hard, to try to be very bipartisan when you know people who know people.
Yeah, that must be difficult. So with the Bachelorette and Bachelor, it's like, these people are like, who cares? Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just like, I don't care. I just love that I get to talk shit. Like, I love it. Like, this guy's a weirdo. This guy's cuckoo. Like, what's that about? This. I'm so excited to be able to do that, so that's going to be exciting. So, but we're still planning on doing both until, because I'm not a quitter, I'm not going to self-evict on this season.
You're no Tyler.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not self-evicting this season. I'm not going to quit. I'm not a quitter. I fell off a damn wall. It's if I fell off a damn 7-foot high wall and thought I was going to break every bone in my fat ass body, and I was just like,
forget, Jess, you were in good company with that falling off the wall thing, because you know who else freaked out about falling off a wall? Celeb BB to Tamar Braxton, and she went on to win and is a legend just like you. So two of our favorite queens had epic, dramatic falls off the wall. So never feel bad about that, because you are in some good ass company.
Yeah, I mean it's hard and it's scary. Like, if it wasn't scary, I want you guys to do this. Find yourself like a 7-foot ladder, 8-foot ladder. Then get like a gym mat. Get yourself a gym mat, and then jump off the 8-foot ladder and go on to the gym mat. And tell me and tell me if that's something that you would do, because that's exactly the experience. Like, it was we climbed up an 8-foot ladder and got onto the wall. And I know that for some reason it looked really, did it look like we were
2 feet?
It looked like it was 2. It was not 2 feet. You all have seen this GIF. You've all seen it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's called a GIF, technically.
I call it a GIF.
I know, so do I. But technically it's a GIF. I don't know. That's what I read, because I literally Googled it. That's how sad my life has become. But at the same time, I am constantly looking at this GIF of myself. And that fall, like, my perfect, It was like a great 75-degree angle of just me like falling. That did not look like 2 feet. 2 feet is like, I don't even, I don't know. There's 2 feet of snow sometimes where, you know, that like 2 feet is nothing. I get it. No, this was 7 feet, 7.5, maybe 8. I don't know. It was tilted. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. But
no, I agree. I wouldn't be a fan because I'd be scared it's going to break something because I'm not 21 years old anymore.
Exactly.
I'm not just going to pop up like Tyler.
And I get it. Everybody thought I was younger than Holly. And I know that like these looks like I know. I was actually very surprised that she was getting all the old jokes. And I'm here thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to totally get roasted. And the fact that I'm like 8 years older than this chick is just like,
you look younger than Christy too. Like you just, you know, you do. And
so thank you. If there was an award that someone could give me for that, then I will happily accept it. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know where the hell I was going with this, but I'm just saying that it's rough out there.
Yes. Well, everyone loves it. They love your gift, GIF. And I always like talking to you. And maybe sometime we could get you back, Kemi back. I'll invite Ina. We could have a little foursome ladies night.
I know that Ina's just all, I feel like Kemi's old, like if we're like done with the season, you know, like this, my poor girl, she's just, you know,
I know she's done. And
I mean, we had to cancel one of our episodes. I feel like we didn't do the Day and Bay eviction episode because it was just too much. It was almost like I understood that people wanted to hear where we were coming from and they wanted to see it and they wanted to discuss it. But sometimes it's just too emotionally draining. And it's just, you know, please understand that we just got out of this. Yeah, we just lived it. It's not like I lived it 5 years ago. You know, it's like I lived it. It's now been a year since we've been out of the house. And when I was in Vegas, when I was in Vegas, James Ryan was one of the first people that I met. And he told me, and he told my husband that it would be years. He's like, you'll probably be doing this for 15 years and still talk about it. And like, my husband was like, what? And I hear about life, but it's been a year, and look, I decided to somehow talk about it till I can't talk about it anymore. But we could always talk about it, so it's just like, you know, we could probably talk about it for another 8 hours if we wanted to.
I know. And I'm sure like living it, like I'm just a super fan and I can't imagine like that going through it. I can only relate it to, that's what people say about stand-up comedy, is that as comedians, we never stop talking about the insights. That's why I'm glad I married another comedian, because we don't shut up about comedy. It's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole game. It's everything. So I guess I can only equate it to that, but I totally understand that it's something. I think James, if anything, he's still, and especially this season now bringing Kaser and Janelle back. I would have loved to see James come back. Oh, that would have changed so much.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that would have been a great. That's why I thought for some reason it was going to be, well, we ended up finding out that James is gonna, you know, his wife is pregnant, and so it just was not meant to be. This All Stars. And I think that what they should have really done, if they couldn't get it done, they really should have called it something different.
Yeah, not All Stars.
They should not have called it an All Stars. They should have called it a Second Chances. They should have called it something else. They shouldn't have called it Legends. They shouldn't have called it, you know, I mean, so the amount of people that said no that couldn't because like half of them were pregnant or just expecting babies, or
just imagine Rachel Riley on this season Nicole's game would have been toast. She would have, oh my gosh.
That alone, the idea that that her and Alyssa tried getting both of them to come in together. That right there would have made for such with them two and Janelle, and just had a whole amazing.
And Danny's still there. Who knows?
Danny, and like who would know like what kind of mess that would have geared up to, but it would have been fabulous.
Yes, and Daniel Reyes. I mean, oh my gosh, we could have so many. But again, it's a pandemic. We took what we could get. We just didn't know that this, all this pre-gaming and all this stuff was going to be as big of a deal as it ended up becoming. So, but I look back now at that first episode. I'm like, oh, they were totally gearing this up to be a Hitmen versus the Renegades, who's the best final two dude alliance. They were totally, from the first question Julie asked them, and to know now that allegedly Cody and Memphis were put in contact with one another, because it did not seem organic at all how they came about. I know some of the podcasts, Rob has a podcast, would disagree. I've heard Taryn say, no, it's not like that. But that's what it appeared to be. It looked like it came out of thin air that Memphis and Cody were teaming up, and had they never met before, as they claim, or had they not been put in contact, it's like, wow, you guys hit it off real quick.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like we're assuming, we know that these pre-alliances happened. To what extent is definitely, you don't really know, because you weren't in the room where it happened, you know, you just weren't there, right? But everybody who was even on season, like the first All-Stars, talked about pre-alliances happened in the first All-Stars. You know what I mean? Did they happen to stay in, you know, not really. The fact that these pre-alliances happened, but the fact that they've stood.
Yeah, it was a lot messier, because with the first All-Stars, you had season 6 coming right off their season. So you knew they were going to team up. So it was kind of season 6 against all the other All-Stars from previous seasons. And you had obviously Chilltown, and you had different stuff, but not the same, because I've heard like Taryn and Rob has a podcast kind of make that comparison. And not everyone on the podcast, but I've heard Taryn discuss that. But I think that, you know, if you would have had a big group from 21 come in, you would have just assumed they were working together. So it's a little bit different. But you knew Will and Boogie knew, but then you also had America voting some players in. So it just felt a lot less manufactured.
Yeah.
Where, of course, the season 6ers are going to work together. Of course, Chilltown's going to work together. But to know that Memphis, who is, you know, 70, he's younger than me. But I'm just saying, like, he's been out of this game. He says he has no contact, yet Dan and Derek had a lot of contact preseason, to the point where Derek was making little spoofy videos of it, which he included me in one. Thank you, Dan. Sorry, Dan made it, not Derek. If I said Derek. And then Derek talked to Dan on Twitch, and then, you know, they both decided not to play. They both took a pretty big hand in playing. So it just seems very more manufactured than
I think at this point, and I agree with, there was something that if anybody wants to go back into the Girl Let's Agree to Disagree episodes and watch the interview that we did, or the episode that we did with James Ryan, he actually talks about it to a little bit more of like, to extent. It's just, had CBS been able to just bring that in to the play of things, had they been able to talk in the diary room about these pre-existing alliances and worked it in so that we had a better understanding of what is happening, I think that that would have worked out a lot better. A lot of us, well, me personally, some of us have watched seasons, kind of understand the relationship a little bit between people from their past seasons, but you don't understand the relationships between people from other seasons. And we're talking about people that have met each other at, you know, at Hearts of like Reality, like at Hearts of Reality, which is a charity. Like, we've done charity events. We've been to Vegas. Some of them have like had personal, you know, like there's a lot of these personal relationships that haven't been really discussed on the season, on the show in general. And so you kind of don't understand where where some people's alliances like lie, or their allegiance lies, because we aren't really aware of like what these personal relationships are, you know?
They're trying to hide something.
Yeah, something like Danny and Janelle, where Janelle had this pre-existing alliance with Danny, and she's all for this Danny and her alliance, and she has this allegiance to her, and she's thinking that Danny is like so pro this, and you have Danny like backstabbing her and just like making it so personal, and you think like, I really want to know what the relationship was there, if CBS would be able to talk about what this alliance was, because like, why hide it? Like at this point, these are all stars. Obviously you're going to talk to people. People have called me up and be like, whoa, so All Stars is happening. Oh, what do you feel about that? Like, how's that going? There have been conversation. Everybody called everybody, trying to figure out how that happened.
So just make it, that can add into people's storylines, so that then maybe the feeds wouldn't be so different from the edited videos. Just like you're saying, if CBS was just like, here's the deal, we can't stop it because these people talk, and like you said, they have friendships, relationships through the years, blah blah blah. So let's just see if their pre-alliances implode within the house, or if they're able to carry it out, or if people are able to infiltrate. So people wouldn't get mad if they just were more transparent and just own the fact that this is what happens, and we literally can't police it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, let's just get one thing straight. The fact that Cody and Nicole played a whole season together, and they played the whole damn season together again, and nobody has done anything about this. None of it makes sense unless you knew what type of alliances and things that happened prior to, like, and I feel like we deserve that.
Yeah, just a little more transparency and stuff.
Yeah, and it's why I don't have any of the past season, like the house guests on my show that have played, because I just don't want to go through talking to CBS and having to ask them bullshit questions. Like if you have any of the people that we've had on our show, which hasn't been many, it was been Rachel and James, but we had Ika too, and just recently Aman and Mel, who aren't, if you all know, are not like BB people, but their Twitter, they're very heavily involved in the BB Twitter. But we just want to talk. We just want to say what we need to say and not have to edit anything out. I don't want a list of questions that I can say and cannot say.
Yeah, I just want to talk shit. Like I want to have people on that I liked in the game, because if I now have friends on, how disingenuous am I? I'm like, no,
exactly.
That's not how I roll.
Oh yeah, so I just interviewed impressions, but I was like talking shit about your game the whole way through,
Yeah, it seems a little weird. So obviously it was like, yeah, we were all team Jess, BB21. So, and I became friends with your family. So I was like, yes, we're all friends now.
And and I don't take offense to anybody like laughing about me falling off a wall or saying like, or mimicking me in any way, because you have my accent down packed, or however my mannerisms. Like, that's just the name of the game. I get it. As long as, it's not. Yeah, as long as someone's not calling me like, this bitch is unstable and she needs to get the fuck out because she's crazy, cuckoo, bananas, and then me go on the flat. I loved you. You are so awesome.
And people do that, and I see it happen, and I'm like, wow, that's fake. And with me, it's like I'm probably not going to invite you on, because I did do impressions of these women. Now, most of the things I say are just satirized, and they're blown up of things that I actually said. But I play it up for the comedic value, obviously.
We gotta be dramatic, and I understand the drama value. I mean, I have to put a damn disclaimer on my Twitter to like make sure people don't think I'm like 100% serious. I might be like 49% serious, and like the other 51% will be like slightly dramatic and sarcastic, but.
And also, like, you're a human being and you have opinions and thoughts. And if someone isn't on board with it, then bye. But the amount of times I'm sure you have to deal with, people being like, you're this and you're that. And you're like, okay, bye. Like, thanks. I mean, I know Rockstar, I see she's very vocal about dealing with that kind of stuff and haters online and stuff. It's just like, then don't follow her. Like, what do you care? She's not on TV right now. And the only time we're talking about this stuff is when they're on TV.
Yeah, it's
Well,
only
yeah.
there's only a small little window frame where we can like really talk shit, because if you're talking shit and the game's not playing anymore, then you're really just talking shit. And then it's like right now we kind of have that. We have that okay right now. It's like we can do it's the season, you know? Like when it's Thanksgiving, you eat pumpkin pie. When BB's on, you talk shit. That's how it happens.
That is what happens. Yeah, people are like, you need to talk to Janelle and Kaser. And as much as I would love to talk to Janelle and Kaser, and I hope down the road they will come on my show, but I do know that they're under contract with CBS. And I think until like January, they can't even come close to talking to me unless CBS approves me. And let me tell you guys, there's no way CBS is approving me. They don't know about me. And if they searched me, they're not going to approve this podcast. They're going to approve people that throw softball questions and aren't going to question the game at all.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they approved Kat, and I feel like Kat sometimes asks really, you know, out there kind of questions.
Previous players, so I think they have more trust in her than they would just a random gal named Joleen. You know, they'd be like, "What? At least we know, Kat." You know.
Yeah, I feel like they would just want to make sure that, you know, that house guests aren't going to get butchered on the show. And
I understand that. I totally get it. And if down the road, if we're able to get Janelle and Kaser, awesome. But there's very few people I want to talk to. But I do want to talk to you again, Jess. And everyone loves you. And like Sarah saying, Jess is so real. It's great. She is. She's super real. You guys go sub to Girl Let's Agree to Disagree, because you have big things coming up. Obviously finishing up the season of Big Brother. And like you said, Bachelor, Bachelorette, other things in the works. So yeah.
Maybe, do you watch, are you going to be watching The Amazing Race?
I've never gotten into An Amazing Race. I want to go back and watch the Janelle, Brittany, Rachel, Alyssa, Nicole.
I can't find it. It's not on CBS All Access, and it's not on Hulu. Hulu only has like the first like 20 something seasons. So for Hulu, you can watch the first Rachel Riley season, which is the one with her and Brendan. But you can't find the one with her and Alyssa. And I'm waiting for that one to come out, which I'm kind of really sad about. I don't know if anybody knows where to find it, or like I would love to be able to watch that again. I think they say you have to buy that season, which kind of sucks. I mean,
yeah, it does. But I might do it. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
It's a good season. I remember it being a really great season. Rachel's first season was a really good one too. I feel like
I'll watch anything Rachel's on. I just have not watched The Amazing Race yet.
And I want to watch the Fear Factor one, because I heard that one was crazy.
Really? Yeah, it's been on forever. And I just never, I don't know. I got too many shows. I got to catch up on Teen Mom 2, Jess. I'm so busy.
Teen Mom 2?
I do. I don't talk about it. I used to talk about it on my channel, but I didn't really have a bunch of people interested in me talking about Teen Mom 2, so I just let it go.
I just found out that someone from 90 Day Fiance, I just worked with someone from 90 Day Fiance, and I had no idea who she was. She's really pretty. She's like this Mexican girl. Gosh, I even forgot her name. Not Fernanda.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know, because I don't watch 90 Day Fiance, but like I then ended up finding her. Like we were talking and working on something, and then I realized I didn't even know she was on the show. She was such a great person.
Is it Fernanda?
I think it is. Yes. Is she from Chicago?
Gorgeous.
She lives in Chicago, because we just did a photo shoot together. And so I was just like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know. I know. It's kind of the weirdest thing. I sometimes I worked on set with a Victoria's Secret model. I didn't even know she was a Victoria's Secret model. I was just like, I'm too big. They're like, she's a Victoria's Secret model. I was like, if I shopped at Victoria's Secret, sure. But my boobs are way too fucking big to fit into a Victoria's Secret bra. So the idea that you think I would know who the hell she is, why doesn't she know who the hell I am? That's another story, right? Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but seriously, why doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just kind of like, do you know who I am? Do you not watch CBS? I fell off a 7-foot wall.
You can find my gift.
You can find my gift. You can buy my gift. You can watch my big GIF anywhere. And if you follow a guy named Tunes, like all my voice is just like seriously on every fall ever in Big Brother history. I'm kind of a Big Brother screaming legend.
Yeah, you are. The Tubes got taken down. I guess they got reported.
What?
I don't know if they're back. Yeah,
Wait,
Tubes
on Twitter?
Yeah. Apparently,
None.
Toombs and one other account, I think CBS, because they were using some material, you know, videos or whatever, little clips. And this happened like a couple days ago. And Toombs has, I don't know if Toombs is back, but I was like, holy shit. So if they lose their account, they had so many followers.
Oh, that sucks. I mean, he told like he, whatever, trolled me so hard, but I love them. It's like,
what a good sport you are, Jess.
It's like I was tagged in so many different falls, and the following fall was like the one with Nicole, who fell during like the veto for the triple eviction when she fell off the balance beam and just like face planted on the floor.
I loved it.
And they had put my
That's probably
what they do it, and
I got for that.
Maybe
I think that might be the video because it was a recent video of during like the triple stuff. So it probably was.
Then yeah, it was probably because he used my voice, or they used my voice
video
for that fall. But I loved it. It was like so great. I love getting tagged when they're like, "Oh my god!" and people are just like, "You need to use Jessica every famous fall." It's like always my voice. Hey man, if that's my rise to fame, I'm gonna milk it.
That's so cool. I would love that. Like, I love that you have a sense of humor about it too, because who cares? It's hilarious.
I know. It's just like, if you can't beat them, join them. Like, I could be like crying in the corner right now, talking about, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. Everybody's gonna. No. What? A couple guys, couple tries. Hell yeah, and a couple more after. Hell yeah. That's the only way to do it.
I know.
Like, you're gonna slut shame me? No, not if I call myself one.
Exactly. If you own that stuff, like then no one can do that. No one, you know,
zero shame. It's like zero shame. You're like the more people know that you're ashamed of something, the more that they're just gonna do it. And I'm not saying love absolutely everything, but you gotta learn to embrace all of the little quirky.
Own it, embrace it. If Franzel did that, she would be considered a legendary player. She really would.
She would be at like a pretty high level. She just needs to admit it. And I think that she would have so much more respect in the game that she does, because quite honestly, she does. I was going to say deserve it, but the only reason people don't think she deserves it is because she's not owning it.
She's never owned it. Just be like, who cares? I had a couple show when you try to be this, oh god, don't talk about sex. But it's like, no, you're having sex. Yeah. Did I give him a handy? Yeah, I did. And I won $500K. So I enjoyed the $500K more. Bye. Like, look, who cares?
I'm more, to be quite honest, in my real life, if I know people are that either offended or particular about not owning certain things, it almost makes me wonder if they're judging me. Like, if I'm not, like, if I'm like, there's no judgment in that. Like, I own all of that. I'm clumsy. I'm big. I'm this. I'm that. If I started to say like, oh, like, that's not right. That's mean, or blah, blah, blah. Then I'm thinking, well, then you must think that I'm that way. You must be, if you can't own it for your own sake, then maybe you're like talking shit about everybody else. I don't know. That's my opinion.
No, I think that's a great point, because maybe she slut shamed other people, and so she's afraid to be slut shamed. Because the deal with, I know a lot of people, whenever people leave comments and they call her, there's the Princess Tuggy or whatever, you'll never hear me referring to her as that, because I don't think that's funny, and I don't think it's relevant, and I don't want to slut shame her. There's so many other fun things to make fun of, but I think if she just owned it, I was like, fuck, the hand job. Like, it's the hand job.
People wouldn't be calling her that.
It's virgin sex. It's great. Who cares? Everyone's giving a handy. I mean, it's you're tired. Here's a handy. Go to bed. You know what I mean? Who cares? Just own it and move on. But she just refuses to, and she's like, I only kissed a couple of guys. It's not fair. And you're like, girl, it's okay. You touch the ween. You're a grown ass woman. We all will move on. And once she accepts it, and once she says, you know what, I am a villain, and I am this way, and I might be nice in my real life, but I play cutthroat Big Brother, and I will cut you. If she would play that way, man, it would be so different for her. So different.
I agree 1,000%. I do, but c'est la vie.
Say la vie. What are we gonna do? Yeah, it sounds right.
I don't know. I probably used that in the wrong context, but you know, you got my.
I do that stuff all the time. Today, my husband was like, I go, don't come see, come saw me. He's like, did you just use your basic French like at me? And I was like, I did. So everyone go sub to Jess, go sub to Girl Let's Agree to Disagree. Follow her, obviously, if you're not already, on all the social medias. Follow me as well. Give this video a thumbs up, share it. Jess will be back Monday on your podcast, correct? After the episode, or Tuesday? Do you guys go?
No, we do. We actually do Thursday evictions now.
Nice.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard trying. We were doing Wednesdays, and it was hard. It was hard to kind of go through the whole week knowing that, like, this person's gonna go. Why the hell are we predicting anything? It's like, it was too hard to figure out what we were spoiling and what we weren't, and
Exactly. Well, we'll leave you on Ina's thought. Handies are the cure to promiscuity. It's true. Handies are so virginal, you guys. Go give a handy if you wanna.
I'm actually not against it. I lost my virginity at 23. So, like,
oh, you sweet virginal soul. I love it.
But does that include handies? Because if it's not, then it's not.
No. Handies are virgin sex. Like, you did not have sex.
There you go.
It penetrated your palm. That is not sex.
Well, see, I mean, then now you know why I lasted till 23.
Yep, because you were like, hey, I can do this.
It's like, what do I need that for? Like, it's like, guys are perfectly fine with what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I don't have to give up the goods. I got a perfectly good palm. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, Jess. Bye, everyone.
Love you guys.